Yeah.
But man, like this weekend, I freaking did Songwriting With Soldiers. And it's four, I don't know if you guys have heard of that yet. They take four writers, me, Trent Willman, who produces Cody Johnson, Gary Nicholson, who's a veteran writer in town, and then who was the last one? Will Kimbrough. Kimbrough worked with Todd Snyder, and then with Rodney Crowell, and then he's in the Coral Reefer band, Jimmy Buffett's band. He tours with them.
Cool.
So the four of us went to a place called Evans Mill, about an hour and a half away, and we sit down, and it's very curated, and they bring in 8 vets, 7 males, 1 female, that they've vetted over the last year, who can come, and all PTSD survivors. They might have been to Vietnam. They might have been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia. And you spend 72 hours living with them, eating, and then writing songs one-on-one with a couple of them, and then group songs. And dude, I'm telling you, 72 hours, I'm still like broke open from that.
What?
They have stories.
They have stories.
They have stories they haven't written. They might have written inside their heads multiple
will
times.
bring you to tears.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about, whatever politically you are, I don't care. Whatever these people have been through, their life, and then you find out why, how they ended up there. I'll give you one. I do it once a year, and they call me to do it a lot, but I do it once a year. And one woman last year, they said one of the women that's coming has a service dog. She's going to bring her service dog. She's from Texas. So I remember getting there. This is my first camp doing this. And I sat next to her at dinner, because you get to know each other a little bit before you dive into writing together. Because these people are like, why? They're like, what? You know, this guy that's written all these songs, and I'm just going to tell them. They don't know what's going to come of it. All I know it's to get trauma out. And I asked her at dinner, I said, hey, weren't you supposed to have your service dog with you? And she goes, yeah, but he got bit. I'm from San Antonio. He got bit yesterday by a rattlesnake, a day before he got on the plane to come here. So he didn't die. He's okay, but he's on drugs and stuff, and he's going to be okay. I said, well, are you a little bit nervous about being here without your service dog? For some reason, you had this dog, and I don't know much about that. I said, can I ask you why you have a service dog? And she goes, no, I'll be okay. I'm okay for 2 days without him. And she goes, I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. I had to do a lot of stuff, and I can't. Some nights I'll go get nightmares. She goes, I'm getting nightmares. I'm a therapist now for people with PTSD. And she said, I will get nightmares, and there's a third stage of the nightmare called a terror nightmare that this dog can sense in my first stage. I'll be sound asleep 2 a.m. This dog, if he senses me getting that, he knows I'm going to get to this. He comes and pushes me and wakes me up before I can get to the terror, where I wake up in a cold sweat, and you feel like you're back in the worst spot. And I'm like, wow. Now, before I did this camp, I had no idea, man. I see somebody with a dog, service dog. You don't know what the story is behind that, man. And this woman needs that dog to be around for that.
So I have
Imagine hearing these stories 30 times a day and crazier from these people.
I would imagine you said your parents are psychologists and psychiatrists?
My dad was a psychiatrist. Yeah, he was a
Okay.
psychiatrist his whole life. Mandolin playing psychiatrist.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So with that backdrop, do you think that kind of informs your outlook on this kind of thing?
Absolutely. I think it informs what I'm doing. He passed away 8 years ago. I wrote a song called Guy's Named Captain, just as a love letter to my dad, just thinking about him. And then a song on Kenny Chesney's last record called Guy's Named Captain, probably one of my favorite songs and best songs I've ever written. It wasn't a single, because it's not that kind of song, but man, have I gotten letters and this and that from the joy I've gotten, and the people that have resonated with that song is unbelievable. But I mean, psychiatrist, yeah, he was a psychiatrist for a long time. I saw him help a lot of people, a lot of stories. So that's basically what I'm doing now. Not that I'm a therapist, but definitely sitting down with people to write a song. I just love to hear their backstories.
Yeah.
And I resonate with people that have been through stuff, because we all been through stuff, or we're going to go through stuff.
Right. Yeah, there's kind of a thing about songwriting with that. You are, in effect, doing your own therapy. you're writing, if you're writing your own songs, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is you're identifying the things and feelings and trauma and all the great things too, and what brings you joy, and processing that, wrestling with it until it turns into a song.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, let's say the three of us were writing today, and we just met each other. If you vulnerability is the most amazing thing to have in a co-writing session, because, like, if you come in and I go, okay, let's write something, and you go, oh, everything's perfect in my life. Everything's perfect. It doesn't really leave you that much to write about. I'm more into the great writes I've had, or when someone comes in, man, I'm having a hard time with my wife, or my dad passed, and I'm going through this. Now, there's days you just want to write a song that makes everybody shake their ass, because that's fantastic. I'm like,
There's always a girl at the end of the piano.
There's always a girl at the end of the piano, and you hope so. And it's a beautiful thing. And no matter around the world, I've been around the world. I grew up in Panama and was raised in Europe, and lived in Europe for 7 years. But in the end, vulnerability, especially the older you get, man, when you talk about the real stuff, it's those little specific real moments that are the most universal that people can relate to, So, yeah, it's kind of therapy for me and for them. Yeah.
Vulnerability, you combine that with like authenticity.
Yeah.
Just somebody that's coming into the room, not for any sort of ego or anything like that. Just, I'm here, I'm present.
Yeah.
I want to write a song. Here's what I'm going through. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And so you guys caught me like 5 days after this camp. And so 72 hours with those soldiers. I just have to give them a shout out, because there's different organizations that are doing that. And it's such beautiful work, because these people are like, they're going through, they go over there and they spend time there. And then they're even kind of sometimes more afraid to come home, because their wives or their kids haven't experienced what they've experienced, It's crazy.
Walk me through what was going through your head in that, because I'm sure there's a lot of sensitive topics, and you're writing a song, and you're used to writing things that might be, oh, this could sound like this guy one day, or you're getting emotional, but then you're meeting with a soldier, a vet, and then it's, okay, he's telling me what's happening. All right, now I have this melody in my head. Is it matching what he's feeling? Are we going to get into hope at the end of the song? Is this a sad, like, what goes through your head to be that therapist to make sure that they're getting something that's
so
real, but also, I don't know.
No, great question. I mean, Songwriting with Soldiers, just so people can .com, you can find out more about it if you look it up. And there's also a therapist present on the grounds. Again, we live at the place with them for 3 days. There's facilitators who've been doing this a lot. So you've always got a support team. So to answer your question, some of them just open up and talk for an hour and a half. And you're in my job, I'm typing it all down on a computer.
Scribing.
Yeah, and you're kind of doing that. You're going, wow, that's a song idea. That's a song idea. But you kind of wait to see what, you don't want to, there's some things that are too personal, like get too personal. And so they're just kind of saying whatever they want to say. And then at the end of that hour, they give you a timeline. You got to have a song written in 3 hours, ready to go, written. And then you go and you cut it. They have a studio like this down the hall, and you cut the thing. So it's all really good. It goes fast. So you just kind of pick out what you think this is, and you kind of work it out with them. Hey, what do you think about this? And maybe it goes with my melody that I had. But there's hope at the end of this song. Or you find something about their past and their parents, which is funny or good, that gives them hope. You want them to feel good. So it can be just about anything, Wow. And then you end up with something you could have written. It's always like that, and you perform it for the whole group later on. And to watch the 8 vets hear their songs perform back in front of the facilitators and the other writers is incredible.
I bet.
In the end of the weekend, they go home, hopefully, and they're going, man, this was the most amazing experience. I never thought I'd be able to share that. They're just going through a lot, man.
How does that experience, have you done that before, or you're just fresh off first time?
This is my second time doing that.
Okay.
Because it's heavy, and you literally I remember I got home that night when we finished the whole thing, you need time to process it yourself. Man, because it's heavy.
How do you think is it shaped at all, like your other sessions just in general? like that experience?
Yeah, it's a bit like, you know, different sessions are different. You get into different dynamics, but this is quite unique in a great way. You kind of fear it. I'm just being totally honest. Afterwards, we discussed, did you get out of this what you thought to the vets? And a lot of them are like, wow, I wasn't sure. Some of them want to cancel an hour before, go, I don't think I can go do this. I don't know how to write a song. I don't know if I want to get that deep. But the same with me. I'm like, man, is this going to be, but you know, we all have our comfort zones, and you say yes to stuff, and usually it's, you know, you get something out of it. For me, I completely, and I the other songwriters that do it, Erin Enderlin, I don't know if you know her, Trent Willman, I'm just giving a shout out, Gary Nicholson. There's a lot of songwriters. There's another group called Creative Vets, I think. Folds of Honor.
Creative Vets, I think.
Right?
Isn't McKinney involved, Matt McKinney involved with Creative Vets? Or
I swore Rivers did something with him. With them.
Rivers Rutherford?
Yeah.
I'm sure. You know, there's a group of songwriters in town that do that, and it's a great thing about being in Nashville. All I can say is, you know, I moved here years ago from Switzerland, and one of the reasons I moved here was because I thought, okay, it's a music town. A lot of it's not so much like production driven. It seems like LA. This is 20 years ago. And so I thought, wow, you can sit at the piano and actually be a real musician or a guitar. And also it's a philanthropic town where there's so many. I mean, for many years I did the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital tennis tournament that helped raise money. So there's this going on every day in this town, as you guys know. There's charities. There's, and now this has come into my life in the last 2 years. I was like kind of afraid of it first, you know. Oh, am I going to carve out enough time? 2 days, 3 days away from what I'm doing, and I'm just going to write these songs, and now it's incredible. I can't say enough about it. But boy, it changes you, because you look at the world differently. You know, you don't know what people are going through, you know, and what they've been through. I'll just give another specific example. One told me a story where his brother came home from he was overseas using drones to do what they do now with drones. As you know, drones can be, so it's a weapon of war now. This wasn't 20 years ago. This is now. He was doing that. And they can't say exactly, but you know, that kind of thing. And he flew home, and there was no adjustment time. In the Navy, apparently they have a 2-week adjustment. They go somewhere else and kind of adjust before they come back to their families and stuff. This guy didn't have it, and he found himself 24 hours later in his living room with his wife, and his kids were playing video games. And he said it just felt wrong, because they're playing video games, and he had just been doing the kind of the same thing, except doing some pretty rough stuff. It was necessary, you know, and his job. So you can imagine trying to assimilate. And then we got to talking about, we had a whole group session, and we were talking about road musicians. I said, that's not that different than guys that go on tour. Yours is much heavier. I'm not saying it's a lot like that. It's just, it's similar to where, you know, your friends go on tour, and then they're out 3 months or 2 months, and they come back to their wives or their kids, and the wife has adjusted to him being gone, and the kids have adjusted, and he's adjusted. So to get back together is an adjustment, and it can be really hard on the person out on the road and the person at home. Let's be honest, man. Sometimes our women, you know, they get used to it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're sharing a space again, and you got to readjust to knowing each other. I remember I read a story about Bono from U2. Literally, he said when he comes back from like a major tour where, you know, at that level, everything is given to you. You know, you don't even have to think. Everything's there. Everything's first class at that level. He would get home, and his wife would literally, in Ireland, go, he stays in a hotel for 2 weeks,
oh, wow.
a mile or two from his house. Because his wife's like, it's not going to be like that here. You're going to have to get up and make your breakfast. Or, you know, I mean, and I really relate. I understand that, you know, and these guys understand that. It's a different, you're all of a sudden living with someone who you don't even know. Or you have to re-get to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's wise of
amazing.
Bono and his wife to do that.
Yeah, and they're still together, man.
That's the testament to it, you know?
Yeah, it's an adjustment. Remember when I went on tour in Europe, like first-class tour, it was band Via con Dios. I went from playing piano bars in Switzerland, which was incredible, to playing the same cities I played piano bars. I got in this very famous band. We toured Europe. I was playing arenas.
What was the name of the band?
So the band was called Vaya con Dios, which in Spanish is Go With God. But they weren't a religious band. They were from Belgium. And when I went over there in 93, they were a huge band. Imagine a band coming here and playing 2 nights at Bridgestone Arena. That was how big they were. But you would not even know their name here in the States. Because we forget there's other parts of the world that are monster, you know. And I got in that band, and we went, like I said, went from playing piano bars to those arenas, and we're just one night in these beautiful cities. But they slide under your door, you know, okay, breakfast is here, vans picking you up at 9, concert, doors are at 6, concert, and then the next morning you're in Prague, you know. But you get used to that, and that was just a smidgen compared to a guy like Bono or a lot of these bands where they're doing that for 3 months a year on a Lear jet. And then you get home, and who's going to wash my clothes?
Right.
You know, you expect your wife to, but your wife's like, no, I've been taking care of the kids for 3 months, dude.
Yeah, that's a whole other layer, too, you know,
yes.
coming back and trying to parent and all of that.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I don't have any kids, neither does William, but I like to think I have a father's heart, so, you know, I could understand that.
One woman mentioned she went over there and she got pregnant, and she'd gotten pregnant before she went, so then they let her come back, but only for 6 weeks.
Wow.
To have the baby, and then she had to go back. And then for the next year, her mother raised the child. So that when she finally got back, the child had bonded more with her mother, which, thank God she had a mother who would do this, but imagine the kind of trauma. It was traumatic for her because she had to, I'm the mother of the child.
Right.
So it's a lot of, it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it really is, and I give my heart to these people, and a shout out to all of them, man. They're going through stuff as we all are, you know.
Yeah, but that's a little different. That's like Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, man.
Kind of severed in some regards, coming back and trying to readjust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then with the way the world is politically, and wow, you've got all that to deal with. It's life's a challenge, man. Yeah. No matter where you are, but especially for those folks. And
so I'm intrigued. I just want to know, like, okay, so Panama, right, or area, Panama area.
Panama.
Then I
Central America. We're talking about not Panama City, Florida, guys.
Yeah, and then
my dad was born in Panama.
Panama City or Panama?
No, he was born on a base in Panama back in 1962.
Really?
Yeah, both my dad and my uncle.
Do you remember probably Pacific side? Do you remember where he might have been born? What the
base was?
Yeah.
I don't know. My grandfather was he was in the Army.
Yeah.
And was down there for guerrilla warfare training.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
You know, obviously this is back Vietnam.
Yeah.
But
in the jungles.
Yeah. They were down there, you know, for 3 or 4 years. I was actually just talking with my grandmother about it, having her kind of tell the story of
born in Panama. Wow.
Because she was a piano player. She is a piano player. You know, gave lessons and all that. But I was asking her, that's kind of the only music in our family was my grandmother played piano.
Yeah.
Plays piano. She is still alive and still playing. But I was asking her, I was like, well, you weren't able to take your piano to Panama.
Yeah.
You know? So this is before keyboards. Like, how did did you reconcile with that? And she was just telling me, like, it was not easy.
Did she take a piano down there?
No.
Or did she just...
No, she didn't play.
Oh, at all,
you know?
while she was there?
Yeah, while she was there.
Yeah.
So, no, okay, yeah, to William's point, I interrupted. You were born in Panama?
So, no, born in the States, in Durham, North Carolina, Duke University Hospital.
Okay.
So my dad was psychiatrist, doing his residency at Duke University. My dad's blue-eyed gringo, as we call it. Yeah, he's from Ohio, Geneva, Ohio, originally raised in Michigan in the cold, right? When he was at medical school, he was stationed at some point in Galveston, Texas, right on the water there, and he met my mom, who was a nurse. But my mom was from Bolivia, even farther south than Panama. And it's where Che Guevara was eventually killed down there years ago. Mm-hmm. But my mom was Bolivian and British. Her father was English. So she came to the States when she was 19, and we speak of immigration now. She came to the States as a Bolivian immigrant, but she had a job in a hospital in New York. She wanted to be a nurse. they ended up and they met. She was how can I say this? She was playing basketball on the nurses team. My dad was a referee because he wanted to meet girls, and they said, "You want to meet girls as a young doctor?" And he said, "Yeah, well, you need to referee the basketball team in Galveston." And so he met her. They ended up going to Duke University and had me. I was only in North Carolina for a year. We went to Miami where he started practicing as a psychiatrist. And my mom, who was from South America, said, "Hey, my dad loved to sail and the ocean, loved it." And she said, Panama, there's a lot of military down there. Well, they weren't military, but she said, "Let's go down there. A lot of my relatives have moved from Bolivia to Panama. There's two oceans, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, 50 miles from each other." And he says, "Oh, Panama, what the hell?" He didn't speak any Spanish, but she's Latin, She goes, so they went down there for about a week to visit, and he freaked out. He's like, "This is incredible. I could practice psychiatry, but I could also sail. There's two oceans. It's beautiful. No winters, like I grew up in Michigan, none of that." So they came back, and they offered him the chief of psychiatry on the Pacific side. Your grandfather or your dad was born down? Your dad was born down there.
Yeah, my dad.
Probably very close to where your dad was born. There's Albrook Air Force Base, Amador, So we went down, and we were going to stay 2 years, and we stayed 10. I stayed till I was 18. So first, I was 8 years old. First band, high school, all the stuff you guys know are formative years. 8 to 18 was in Panama. Living on the canal, in the canal zone, before Carter gave it back to your guy, Carter, Georgia guys, living down there, and it was phenomenal. I can't tell you. We had one radio station, Armed Forces Radio, where I got to hear Led Zeppelin and the Eagles and the Doobie Brothers, all that stuff. And then you went to high school with mostly American kids, but of course there was a border, Panama was there, and you'd hang out, and that's where I learned Spanish. And when you grew up down there as an American, at the time, you hired a housekeeper from Panama, and my mom was like, "Okay, I want these kids to learn Spanish." So she hired a housekeeper, always, that only spoke Spanish, no English. So if you wanted a grilled cheese sandwich, you had to learn Spanish. "Yo quiero una sándwich de queso, por favor."
Quiero Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, yo quiero Cocoa Puffs, yeah. Yo quiero. So looking back, I'm like, it was fantastic, because now as you get older, another language just opens up your mind, and it just, now I'm writing in Spanish. I have a soft heart for Latin. Tomorrow night at the Bluebird. I'm not sure when this is airing, but I'm hosting Bluebird Latino. That's a part of me, my dad's gringo, but then I have this Bolivian Latin section, and then British. I was just in England 2 months ago for Wimbledon to do some shows. Your heart's, you follow your heart, and the older you get, you kind of... So I ended up in Panama for 10 years. So that's a slice of your life where you're like, you can't get that out of your system. And then after high school there, I was in a band down there. I had to get in a band, and at 15, your grandmother, you said, played piano? Mm-hmm. My mom started me on piano when I was 8. At 14, I wanted to quit. Like most kids, I was tired of playing Fur-Elise and classical stuff. Mm. And at 14 in Panama, man, all my friends were doing this and that. And she's like, "No, I think you've got talent." So she was smart enough to find me a piano teacher when I wanted to quit. Got in some serious arguments. I was like, "I don't want to do this anymore." She goes, "I think you just need it." And so 2 things happened. I went to see Carlos Santana in concert.
You're kind of giving me Carlos Santana vibes.
Yes, yeah. Well,
probably get that.
We only got in Georgia. I'm sure you guys got everybody under the moon. Coming through town, to play, mm-hmm. in Atlanta and all that. But I went to see Carlos Santana, and when I saw that concert, probably 14 years old, I was like, "Oh my God, I want to do that." And then she found me a teacher who showed me how to play. If I was at your piano, that oye como va pa pa mi ritmo, and then Elton John. And then Billy Joel, these are guys that were popping. And all of a sudden, when I learned to play that, I was like, "Oh, I love the piano." Got in a band at 15. And I swear, to this day, that's all I've ever done. Kept me on it, So, yeah.
So you were down there from 8 to 18?
8 to 18, yeah.
And did you learn to sail?
I learned to sail, yeah. And I would tell you, yeah, I love to sail. Although I found my dad at the time, my dad was like, I would get on the boat and go, to get from point A to point B, if you just took a speedboat, it'd be in an hour. But I'd be like, "Dad, I don't like this cutting with the wind. It takes you 5 hours. He goes, James, he's a psychiatrist, you don't know the zen of sailing. You got to learn the zen of sailing. And like I say, I lost him 2016. I think about that a lot now. And
that's where Captain comes in a little bit.
Yeah, guy's named Captain, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it, you know, and he just loved sailing. And because he was a psychiatrist, his Sundays were spent on the water. It's funny, like that's where he talked to God the most, you know. And I get it now. And like I wrote this song, I think I was mentioning before, guy's named Captain, just as a postcard to my dad because I miss him. And then Kenny Chesney. I mean, literally, I was in a session. I'd had cuts by Kenny Chesney before, but I was in a recording session with my friend Shai Carter, and I got a call from an unlisted number. I had cuts with Kenny, but it wasn't the kind of relationship where I had his phone number, you know. We know there's different relationships you have, just a great guy. And I was like, unlisted number, I better answer this. And it didn't say spam. You know how we get those
forward.
Now? Yeah. I wonder if now, this is a couple of years ago too. Yeah. So I answered it in the middle of the session. It was weird, unlisted. And I thought, okay. And it was Kenny, and it was literally him saying, Slater. I'm like, yeah, Kenny, how you doing? He goes, man, I got your number from Buddy Cannon, his producer. And he said, dude, you just wrote my life on the water. And I just never forget him saying that. I went, which song? Because I sent songs to his producer through different things. And he said, guy's named Captain. He said, I was just on a boat in St. John, where he's got a house. And he goes, man, I was sitting on the boat with like 4 or 5 boat captains who were buddies of mine down there, and I played it. I just had sat down at the piano just like that and done a piano vocal. That's it. That's what I love about this town, circling back. I didn't need a whole massive production. If the song is right, that's what I love about this town. And he had listened to the piano version. And if you hear it, man, it's like, it's good. It's honest. And I'd sent it, thrown it on the tape, and he goes, dude, Tears, I'm cutting that with Mac McAnally playing guitar. I see the vision. It's going to be the last song on my record. And I'm going to do it with Mac McAnally. It was Buffett's band, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then 3 months later, he cut it, came out, and oh my God, it's great. Oh, one last little story about that. I was sitting around one night about a month later, and he called. Now I had his phone number there. I'm like, oh, it's Kenny. And he said, man, I just cut guy's named Captain. And you know at the end of the song where you go, Captain Vic, which is your dad? He said, how about, do you mind if I put my own dad, Captain Dave's name in there? Because he was a boat captain too. And of course at that point you're like, Kenny's going to reach a lot of people. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't mind at all, man. Do it. I'd had an experience or two before. If you're in this town long enough, you get requests like that. And usually you acquiesce to the artist if it's, you know, it's not a deal breaker. And with Kenny, man, what a great guy. He goes, yeah, he called me to ask me about that. There's been other instances which people just change it and they don't call you, just hear it when it comes on. Wait a second. You know? But you know what? That's part of the game.
Right.
You're honored to have a song. But Kenny called and I said, man, go for it, Kenny. I get that. He hung up the phone. And then 10 minutes later, man, he called back and he was like, hey, was your dad really, is that song honest? You know, he plays mandolin and all those experiences are kind of based around his life. I said, man, every line in that song is true. And this will be great for any songwriters. You know, again, the truth is the most important thing. The specific stuff relates to other people, you know. And so I said, yeah, it's all true. And he goes, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He goes, I'm going to leave your father Vic's name in there. And that was so cool. And now, years later, it's probably been 4 years now since the song came out. I performed that song, man, 1,000 times, and it knocks people out, especially in the tropical areas where there's a lot of people who love the ocean there. And I can't tell you, man. And just Captain Vic, people come up, oh, I wish we knew your dad, or I wish we did this. And I got to thank Kenny Chesney, man, for recording it, number one. And I want to thank him for keeping my dad's name in there, because he didn't have to do that. Even if he had changed it to his own dad's, I would have got that too. But it's so special to play it at the end in front of a big crowd and kind of look up and think that my dad never got to hear the song, but I think he'd be honored to have his name in there. So it's a nice story, because you'll hear stories about artists. You know, you hear all kinds of, they did this or they did this. But man, Kenny Chesney, dude, that guy's amazing.
Massive respect for that. Yeah. What a neat story.
Very cool story.
And finally, too, I want to give him a shout out because his manager told me long ago I had a song called The Life. I was talking about that earlier. He pulled me up on stage to sing that. And I remember he took a song that he wrote off his record and put that song, The Life, which was an outside co-write, me and Casey Beathard, on the record. And I remember sitting down with his manager, Dale Morris, after that happened. I'm like, wow. Dale said, James, Kenny is a great writer. If you look at his catalog, he's written some great songs. But he knows, it's like, what will put 60,000 people in a stadium? It's not so much who writes the song. It's like, what's the best song? And he's smart enough to know. He goes. Dale Morris, Slater, Kenny's been filling stadiums up for 20 years. How do you think he does that? It doesn't matter who wrote the song. It's the song. And how great is it to hear that as a writer, to be in this town, where Chesney, because that's certainly not the case. We can go into others. Artists, of course, they want to write their own stuff, but man, who'll go, dude, I'm taking a song I wrote. This is a better song. This will relate to my fans. And he will take that song off and put it on there, and put a song that he didn't write on there. Man.
Talk about the antithesis of ego.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then talk about success. Tim McGraw's, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra. I'm naming artists that don't write, or Garth Brooks even, that can write. Kenny Chesney can write. These guys write, but they cut outside songs, and they've got long, massive careers.
Right.
I'm not at all saying artists shouldn't write. I'm just saying, man, if you hear a song, I had certain artists, God, I love that song. We should write something like that. I'm like, just cut that song if you love it so much, So I love that.
I love the teaming aspect of that. Hill and I, as we journey through our debut stuff that we're working on, one of the main themes is who's our team? Yeah. Because we've gone through the temptation of trying to do it all ourselves, the whole ego thing, and ego is still going to be a challenge for me every day.
Yeah.
But inviting the players in, inviting the people who have their strengths, and seeing that, and seeing the bigger picture, and how much of this town and the project of artistry is so much more of the togetherness.
Yeah.
Is part of the whole curation.
Oh my gosh.
That's I hope that stays alive.
Man, it's like that in sports. It's like that in there's big sports. Yeah, you keep that, and God, you learn so much when you open up your heart a little bit and bring other people in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this is nice. You guys are a team doing this. It's better with two of you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's way more fun.
Fulfilling,
even if it's just
absolutely
the creating itself, kind of like. Your dad saying you don't understand the zen of sailing. It's like there are plenty of writers, and I love to write on my own too. But forget the result and the song and all the successes and all that. Really, when you get down to it, that's the part that I really love.
Yeah. Collaborating.
Yeah, collaborating and understanding people's stories and staying in that kind of creative space.
Well, there's another topic to co-writing as opposed to writing on your own. So I'm sure you've had plenty of writers doing this, and you'll have a lot of writers doing this now, before and now after doing your podcast. But it's weird for me because it's weird. I got here in 2002, right after 9/11, and I was living in Switzerland for 7 years. And when 9/11, I was going to marry a beautiful girl from Europe, Polish and Swiss. I was I don't want to say star, but my star was shining. I was in it with a band that was very famous. Then I got my own deal on BMG Records and was touring doing that. It was incredible. I had the world at my, I thought, okay, I'm staying here in Europe. This is beautiful. And then 9/11 happened. I'd been in 7 years living in Zurich, Switzerland, touring all over, just having a great life. And 9/11 happened. I was like, man, if I don't move back to the States, I'm going to live over here. I'll probably see my parents 2-3 times a year. How often can you fly back to the States like that, And my brother just had a baby, and I was like, I got to make a big decision. And I remember going, I think I got to move back to the States. And I'd flirted with coming to Nashville. I'd seen something. I think, wow. And then maybe L.A. again. I'm like, I don't know about L.A. and Nashville. And then I was literally walking by a clothing shop, really wrestling. Am I going to leave this beautiful life and move to Nashville where I don't know anybody? And I heard Billy Joel's Piano Man coming out of the speaker in a clothing store. And it's kind of like we all have those core moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know them.
Oh, yeah.
And it stopped me in my tracks, man. And I was like, I got chills. I was like, that New York, I'm singing this. And I thought, I got to move to Nashville, man. I got to be the piano man of Nashville. I got to go play the piano there in Nashville. I had visited here and met Phil Vassar, who I had dinner with the other night. And he was a guy who didn't have a big cowboy hat on and just playing the songs, playing songs. And Harley Allen, an incredible writer. If you don't know him, he was incredible. He passed a while ago from lung cancer. Got to know him. Incredible writer. Anyway, I heard that, and it galvanized me, and that was part of the catalyst to move to Nashville. But to relate that to the story about co-writing or not, and just before I left Europe, my brother had had a baby, and I thought, I got to go to Nashville with some kind of songs or two. I don't even know anybody there, really. And I wrote In My Daughter's Eyes in Europe. It was weird, alone, because I didn't really co-write there so much. And I got to Nashville, and somebody had told me, if you want to meet Garth Brooks, you should go to the Pancake Pantry. Have you guys been to the Pancake Pantry?
Yeah,
of course.
I've usually been in the line before I actually go in.
Have you guys been there lately? I haven't been there in probably 15 years.
Yeah, no, I hadn't been there in probably 5 years.
Okay.
I like that spot next to it, Fido.
Yeah, Fido, yeah.
So slaps.
This is crazy. And so I got here with this song in my pocket, and somebody said, go to, and Garth usually hangs out there. And this is so weird. This never happens. He's coming out of there. And so I introduced myself. I'd written a camp in Ireland, with one of his friends, Gordon Kennedy. So it gave me a little bit. I'm just not this dude running up to him. Yeah, I know Gordon Kennedy and Rodney Crowell, who had worked at, met at a camp. They were also kind of catalyst. If I ever moved back to the States, maybe Nashville's the place. I said, Garth, I got this song. He was so nice. He was come to my office. This is 2002, just after 9/11. I moved here. And he goes, come by my office. I took it to his office. I said, he listened to it. He goes, I really like this song. I remember he was scratching his beard. Really cool guy. He goes, listen, man, my daughters are all young. I'm going to take a break from the business and raise my daughters, so I can't record this right now. So and I remember I got my heart broken. I was like, dang. And he suggested I write with Victoria Shaw and a couple of others people. And I was like, okay, I'd only been here a couple of weeks. So I had my heart broken. 2 weeks later, somebody said, you should play that song In My Daughter's Eyes for Abby Namesh. I played it for a publisher. She played it for Martina McBride. Martina McBride has 3 daughters, now grown. She fell in love with it. I think it was like John McBride called me a couple months later, and they played it at the Ryman. I had just moved here, man. This never happens now, especially 20 years later. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, not a bad first couple weeks.
Insane, man. Insane. And I go to the Ryman. She performs it there. A year later, it comes out. Gretchen Wilson sang the demo. That's a whole other story. Wow, what a story that is. Gretchen Wilson sang the demo. Martina performs it. I'm at the Grammys 2 years later for she got a Grammy for best vocal performance. But the crazy thing is, the demo singer who sang the song, Gretchen Wilson, won for Redneck Woman, beat out Martina, because in the time it took to come out, Gretchen got a record deal and blew up. So Redneck Woman won. But what a ride.
Wow.
So my point is, circling back, is that, but then all of a sudden, I'm a solo writer. So I got this song that goes up to number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I wrote it all alone. And because I hadn't co-written as much, I also had written in the time I got here, That's Why God Made Mexico, alone at the piano my first month here. And Tim McGraw recorded that and was just about to release that as a single. Marcus Hummon at the time, who was being produced by Monroe Jones, we'll circle back to later. And I'd met him, great guy, became good friends with him. He said, Slater, you're here a year, and you've got a solo song in the top 10 and another solo song about to be written. Nobody has done that. And if that happens, I'm leaving town. Because we had some conversations before I moved. I'd kind of dabbled with Nashville a little bit. And before I moved, he'd said, hey, man, give yourself, it's a 10-year town. It's going to take you 2 to 5 to 10 years to really get your first cut. And literally, this happened. Of course, I wasn't 19 years old. I was a little older, and I came here with some songs under my belt, success in Europe. But, dude, it was crazy. So, again, going back to the conversation. So I've had that in my head, solo writer. But once you have success here, of course, within a year, I got signed immediately to a publishing deal, Byron Gallimore. And then they set you up and your calendar's full, 5 days a week, sometimes 2 days, 2 writes a day.
Right.
And all co-write. And that's incredible. I wrote some of the best songs ever, but there's a constant struggle, 20-year struggle now. Remember who you were before you came here? You had all that success as a solo writer.
Do you feel disconnected from that in ways? Or?
I think, and that leads to our conversations. So you get away from that because co-writing town, you write with different people, and then they have publishers. It helps to have teams to pitch your stuff and to do that. But then you find you listen to a lot of songs, you're like, God, I would have done that differently. Or, I mean, co-writing is amazing. I could list you 25 songs that would not have been as good that I got cut, that are incredibly great because of my co-writers. But you do have to carve out some time to get back. It's hard, though, because you're like, do I write this with somebody else, a Rodney Crowell or a Marcus, or do I keep this and finish it myself, for better or worse? And circling around guys named Captain, I got to that point 5 years ago where I went, what the fuck, I got it. And I sat down, I'm going to write this myself, for better or for worse. Wrote it myself. That gets cut by Kenny Chesney. And, of course, it comes out as the only song on the album that's written alone. And as we all know, you guys have been here a while, solo rights is just, it's very small amount of people that get solo rights on the radio, have hits, or even that happens here very much. It's crazy. So I'm constantly now, I'm all messed up.
I mean,
because I'm fucked up. Aren't we all? I'm fucked up.
We're all fucked up.
We're all fucked up. It could, because I can't, if I start a song today, I go, I'm going to write a song about that glass of water. You start it and you can't help it as a writer. You're like, oh, I got a verse and a chorus in. Should I write this myself? Or politically, because it's so hard to get a cut nowadays. There's camps. Do I give it to this writer who's in Morgan Wallen's camp that'll pay the verse and chorus for that? And it may come out like I wanted it, or maybe not. It's tough, man.
I will say,
it's tough. Sure, you can feel it.
In this town, there's such a desire and pressure to get in, so to speak, and be in the pool. And it's easy when you're not there or not there yet to be focused just on that. But there's also cost to that too, where, okay, if that's, let's say you did a verse and chorus, about this glass of water.
Yeah.
And, maybe I guess what I'm saying is, for folks out there that are like wanting to pursue music and come to Nashville and do that kind of a thing, do the thing, there's nothing wrong with having something outside of it that supports it. Like, you're right on time.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning, and kind of, you're right on time.
Yeah.
You're not late. You're right on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
James,
I have
a proposition.
Yeah.
It might be dumb. But the times that you do have that solo edge to write solo, maybe a weekend, either start recording on your phone or hit one of us up. We'll come over and record just you journaling or thinking through the idea out loud. We don't have to be there for the whole time.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you have so much wisdom. I've just met you. I can tell. You can post your journaling thoughts and your solo write, and it can be like my bi-monthly solo write session.
Yes.
And then and you post that. You don't need to pitch it to anybody else. Instagram, TikTok, they're gonna pick it. They're gonna pick it up. They're gonna pick that up, man. And then, because you have a process that you can leverage to put into content that is for the solo write process. And you can let that speak for itself.
Which is a thing, yeah. I think, and we could go back in time and look at solo writes. That'd be an interesting thing.
That would be.
Even in the last, I'm trying to think, country solo writes.
Humble and Kind, Lori McKenna.
Humble and Kind, okay. Yeah, Lori McKenna. Humbling, that's a solo, right?
Yep.
Even this year, 23 is, I'm just thinking more recent. I don't know the song as much. He won American Idol, or he didn't. I don't know if he won American Idol. I can't remember.
Scotty McCreery?
No, another guy. Scotty McCreery is another whole other thing. He's got a song on the radio right now. I think there's 11 writers on it.
Yeah.
It's because, 4 guys and Hootie and the Blowfish wrote it. It's a mashup of one of their songs that was a hit 30 years ago. And then my buddy Bobby Hammer, great guy. He just moved to Charleston. That's a whole other story. People that are actually moving away from Nashville. That's a whole other. But he just moved. He's packing up his bags and stuff to move his wife and his 2 little kids to Charleston. And he's been here grinding it out for 20 years and had a lot of success, but not the big one yet, you know?
Right.
And while he's packing, I'm talking about irony, he's packing all his boxes, renting his house out, moving to Charleston. He's got his first top 10, or song going up. This was 3 months ago. It was in the top 30. It's now, I think, number 5. So he's left, and he's getting his first big song. And I'm like, but it's great.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful because he's a writer and one of the 6 guys that wrote that. Yeah. Chase?
Chase Matthews?
No. Because there's a lot of Chase and Chance.
Sure. Okay.
Hang on. He's at Broken Bow, man. I broke the sister company to our publishing company. Chase Beckham?
Okay.
Chase Beckham? Yeah, we got to fix. I don't want to be. He wrote a song. Look, the song wasn't this huge impactful song. I shouldn't say that. It's like it was a solo write. I think it went to number 1. Chase Beckham, I think his name is. And I've written with him once. But there's been a few. Dave, who's the Christian guy? Dave.
Artist?
Yeah, artist, but also writer for
Dave Barnes.
Barnes.
Yeah.
Years ago, wrote that song for Blake Shelton. I'm just trying to go.
God Gave Me You.
God Gave Me You. That's a solo write.
Yeah.
Look at how hard it is for us to think of solo rights, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, man, I know a lot of the, maybe not in the country realm, but there are some content creators that are just banging out solo rights.
Yeah.
Maybe not in country.
Yeah.
But pop, hip hop, some of the Christian pop stuff.
Really?
Yeah, and they're just banging out content. They might not show the whole process, but they do it in a way that's pretty digestible. But I think there's an opportunity to show the process, and that's why I mentioned you, because you have that so many years of songwriting experience, both collaborating with other people, but also with yourself. And that laboring in freedom type of content would be, I mean, you would kill that. I can see that happening.
Well, we should explore that afterwards. Yeah. I mean, again, it's hard because you literally, it's a co-writing town, especially in 2025. I mean, you guys, depending on your relationships with artists, you'll sit in a room with certain writers who are very close to certain artists, and they'll just say, okay, stop right there. We've written a verse and a chorus. I'm just being honest, We don't want to finish this song. Let's give it to, I'm not going to name names with A or B, because certain people are going to want to finish that.
Right.
So, man, it's like hard to, or if you're sitting on your own, writing on your own, you almost go, should I finish this alone? It's so hard to get a song cut as a solo artist, as a solo write, But it's so satisfying.
Okay, so here's one.
And they're, weirdly enough, I'll just say this. All my stuff is online now. Every song that I've written for Keith Urban, Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, it's all out there for people to buy. And then I have my own James T. Slater music. Is on Spotify. Got my own following. And they can hear all my stuff. Because I also, that's another thing. I record an album a year now. We do singles, just release them on Spotify. And a lot of those are solo writes. And do you know the 2 songs? So now for merch, when I do shows, whether it's for 60 people or a corporate thing or 1,500 people, I take merch, but it's not CDs anymore. Who carries CDs around? I don't do that. Or T-shirts or mugs. I just don't do all that. I carry lyrics, hand-printed. That's it. They fit in a suitcase.
Easy.
And I'm honest. I'm telling everybody out there, instead of selling a CD that you have to lug around for $15, these will sell between $103 or $400, depending on the clientele. If I'm in Napa Valley playing for a well-heeled people, they'll pay $250 for a lyric sheet signed to their daughter. But the 2 songs, here's the kicker. The 2 songs that I take, because I don't take them all, they're hand-printed, beautiful. And it's In My Daughter's Eyes and Guys Named Captain.
They're your solo rights.
They're solo rights.
There's
out of
something
the
to
hundreds of songs that have gotten cut, it's weird.
Do you think that you relate most closely to those songs? Are they your favorite?
I'm not knocking any song, Look, I just had a song come out with Willie Nelson that's been recorded. This came out a couple months ago called Open Season on My Heart. That song was recorded by Willie Nelson, 92 years old. Just came out. It's incredible. That song was recorded in 2003 by Tim McGraw on the Live Like You're Dying album. Same song. Yep. And that song was recorded again by Emmylou Harris. So this song's had 3 cuts. It's one of my favorite. It's like, can you imagine a song getting cut by Tim McGraw, Emmylou, and now Willie over the span? That's written with Rodney Crowell.
Wow.
I would have never written that alone like that if Rodney Crowell hadn't been in my life and we wrote it. So you were asked to answer your question. That's one of my favorite songs. But man, In My Daughter's Eyes and Guys Named Captain are the deep, deep solo rights. Those are the ones that people, I don't know. They want to buy the lyric. I'm closest to those, I got to say.
Yeah. Do they most closely Bare Your Soul?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
For sure. One to my brother. This is why it's great to do what we're doing today. We're really talking, Yeah. And in therapeutic, I'm going, wow. My dad, if he was sitting there, he asked me once, he goes, where and when do your best songs come, James? I thought, what do you mean? He goes, is it at night? Is it writing them alone at 4 a.m? Is it when you're eating breakfast? Is it in the shower? So I had to think about that. So this is kind of that therapy session going, those 2 songs, one's to my brother, honestly to my brother, who now died of brain tumor, like Busby did, John McCain, Tim McGraw's dad, glioblastoma. And now he's gone, and when I see my niece, it's like In My Daughter's Eyes. I used to think I saw my niece in my brother's eyes. Now I see my brother who passed in his daughter's eyes.
Wow.
That's some powerful shit.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's a super personal song. And then my dad's song, Guys Named Captain, that thank God, timing was perfect, wrote it for my dad. There's only one artist that could have recorded that song. It's Kenny Chesney. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
So how often are you, I know you have writes all the time with co-writes, but how often are you just journaling, like by yourself, or it doesn't have to be like a formal writing session with yourself, but like how often are you just writing?
So I probably should do it more. Like I think my journaling is just sitting at the piano. And of course, if we all look on our phones, we've got memos going up the yin yang, voicemails. That's probably me, just journaling on the piano. I don't ever sit down and write so much in freehand because, oh my gosh, my handwriting is so terrible. But I do get on the computer and I write, just spit out 2 pages of stuff. I do that a lot. And then I go back to that.
When, say, your most ideal session, co-write, say you're doing co-writing session, what's your strength? What hat are you putting on? Ideally, where do you shine the most?
I think it's when it's a co-writing session now, to be honest with you, because it could be with like a 19-year-old girl that just got signed by Universal Records, So I'm there to really kind of hear her story. And I love hearing, stories of everybody. It could be a 19-year-old girl. I worked recently with a girl named Anna Ray who's on Universal. She's already been to Broadway at 13 or 14 years old and been on a Broadway play. I think she played Annie or a young girl. And now she's from South Carolina, and now she's here. She got signed by Universal Records. So I'm really trying to, facilitate her story and add my experience, And what's it like to be a woman, a young woman in this business, and hopefully help her out? It's not easy. It's hard for a guy to be a guy in this business. But can you imagine, she's here, her mother's in the next room, because she's just super young. So I think my thing is this. I love to sit down. I think I told you just today, we can mention I'm writing with an artist, Rumor Willis. Her dad is Bruce Willis. Her mom is Demi Moore. 2 icons, man. And so I'll probably dive into, honestly, what's it like being a child of that, and wanting to do music and forge your own path.
So we have a similarity in that. Because you're really curious about people and their stories. Oh my God,
yeah.
And then that kind of puts into perspective of, okay, all right, now I can kind of understand. Are you an empath?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it. Where you can kind of go, oh, I see where I fit in the puzzle here now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So kind of sounds like different every time. There's like some writers, everybody's got a little bit. It's so fascinating how everybody kind of learns to create and then come up and, when you're learning piano and learning how you start writing songs, and everyone's different. Rivers Rutherford, we write with him.
Sure.
He gets in and he is like, He doesn't write anything down. The song is all here, and he's writing it top to bottom.
Wow.
Just like kind of. Have you written with Rivers before?
Long time ago. Yeah, yeah. Rivers is a friend, and I've done some shows with him. Great performer, storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And we were due to get together again, you know, but everybody has their own little orbits, you know. And but I love what he does, yeah.
It's just interesting. Everybody's
He's
a
Oxford.
little different.
He's an Ole Miss guy, too.
Yeah.
Like Tom Douglas's wife and kids, all Ole Miss. That's a whole
thing.
It's a whole thing. And Faulkner, you know, and all that, the southern thing, you know, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so I want to know, because I grew up listening to this one. God Whispered Your Name.
Yeah.
You actually, I was.
Man, you're young. You grew up listening to that one?
Oh, yeah.
It's been out
for
about 4 or 5 years, right?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm sitting here thinking that's an older song than it is.
Yeah, no.
He's a big. Just Keith Urban.
I do
right?
love.
Yes.
I do love
this guy grew up on Keith Urban.
Okay.
I grew up
Yes.
like when we think about our first CDs.
Yeah.
Like that's Keith Urban to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm
it's
days
crazy.
go by, windows are down. I'm in the truck with my dad. It's Keith Urban for me is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm totally having a moment,
yeah,
but
No, that's okay. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, Golden Road, all that. I just grew up. It's
Well,
one
you
of my
grew
first.
up on Keith Urban.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to hear a Keith Urban, because God Whispered Your Name, honestly, was like in the past 5. I think it was during COVID. That was such a savior during COVID. Yeah. When it came out. Yeah.
What Hill's
It's a
saying
big
is
old
that
hit.
it's timeless.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, a lot of his stuff. He does. He picks really great songs, and
Well, I thought for a second also, I was like, sometimes people get confused. I've had a lot of God Whispered Your Name is Keith Urban.
Right.
God Moves the Pen is Tim McGraw, which was recorded about 7 or 8 years, one of my favorite songs, which wasn't a single. That's Why God Made Mexico is Tim McGraw, 2000. For my fiance, who's quite a bit younger than me, is like, God, I remember listening to that song. I love that song. Before I ever met you, I was in love with that song. That's a solo, right? I said, well, you have good taste. But there's a lot of God stuff, you know. So anyway, I was just like, could it be another song you're thinking of?
no,
That's okay.
no, I just am having a brain fart.
No.
But with that song, how did that one come to be? I'm curious. Was it?
Man.
Did you bring the idea to the room?
What a great story. So I live with my fiance, right? And I have a lot of yellow pads filled with, you guys know, just titles, stories, quotes I've read. I mean, tons of stuff. From back in Europe, man, when I lived in Europe, 2002, from back when cassettes were around. I have probably 800 cassettes that are labeled with stuff that I wrote when I was 19, 20, 21 that I've saved. So she kids me about all this stuff I have. Not all over the house, but in parts of the place, you know. That, I was going to co-write with my buddy Shy Carter, who is on Warner Brothers Records. I don't know if he's still on there or not. Chris August is great. He's an awesome, good friend of mine. Came from Christian music and now does, kind of like David Garcia, who's a producer who did Christian music mostly, and now he's doing everything. And Micah Carter, who was Shy Carter's brother. And I went to this write, and Chris August had this little if I was at the piano, I could play it for you. And I was like, what is that? And he goes, oh, I got this idea. So we went, and I had seen just on one of my crazy yellow pads, I saw scribbled, God Whispered Your Name. That's how that title. So we went into the write. This is a great story, good for your listeners to hear. And we were writing out at Shy's farm. Shy's amazing. He wrote, he's got a bunch of songs he wrote. Stuck on you, stuck like glue, like glue for Sugarland, a lot of other stuff. You should have him on here sometimes. You can corral him. He now has a place in Medellin, Colombia, which speaks to my heart.
Medellin.
Medellin.
You know, all the Americans say that Medellin.
Medellin, you're right. They do.
But I'm glad you said that.
Well,
now I'm going to sound actually
I would have said
sophisticated.
Medellin myself.
Well, but most.
To be honest, somebody from Colombia is going to listen. So Shakira, who I've actually met, not that I'm, but I met. I wonder how would she say, she's from Colombia, would she say Medellin? That's an interesting question. I don't know. I'm part Spanish. I would say Medellin.
I'm saying Medellin.
People say Medellin.
I'm listening to you.
God, I got so many great stories about Colombia too. Remind me about that. Great. Where were we going with this? God Whispered Your Name.
God Whisper Your Name. Yeah.
So, Oh, so Shy's down there in Midian. He's be a great story too. He just got a place down there, and he's down there half the time. Incredible. So we get to their place to write that song, and this is a great, Chris August starts playing this thing. I got this thing, and the four of us in a room, and Shy is like this free, crazy spirit in a beautiful way. And I start singing. I got this title, God, and we started doing the chorus. When God whispered your name. And Chris and I are vibing. Micah's sitting there. Shy has kids, little kids at the time, 4 or 5 years ago. And he's getting pulled out because the kids, and he leaves for a while and comes back in, and we literally have that chorus banging, man. It's just pouring out. I'm really good. And Shy comes in, and I'm just being honest, it's not a slam. And Shy's like, I don't know about that, man. It sounds kind of 70s, bro. And I'm like,
exactly.
Shy. Yeah, I know. Honest to God. And you look, it's just every co-write is different, And to be honest, to make the long story short, he's like, I'm not feeling that, man. I'm not sure. And Micah's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. So Chris and I look at each other and we're like, what? Put that in our head, And so we get on another song, and we finish the other song. And to this day, you've never heard of that song. Here's another thing. Right. Fine, it happens. Yeah. Chris and I, this is how it happened. Go back to his place immediately. We go, we got to finish. And we get together in his room, and honestly, it was just like him going top to bottom, boom, 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 boom. And we finished that, and it's in Chris's wheelhouse in that he comes from this Christian. He can sing like kind of Keith Urban. He's all those background vocals. You hear background vocals on there. When God, hallelujah. A lot of that's Chris doing it. Mm-hmm. We finished the demo.
Like from the demo, or he went?
Yeah,
back
from the demo,
okay,
and
cool.
On the record, you're going to hear Chris's voice behind it. If you listen to it, he's beautiful. And we finish it, and we send it to Missy Gallimore, our publisher at the time, BMG Music. They send it over to Missy Gallimore, who's looking for songs for Keith Urban. And you got to understand, for 18 years I've been here, I can't get a Keith Urban cut. I try. I have a sister in Austin, Texas, who every few months, I call her, hey, man, I just got a Rascal Flatts cut. Yeah, that's cool, but what about that band, that Keith Urban? He's really cute. You should get him. Hey, I just got 3 more Tim McGraw cuts. Yeah, that's great, but what about Keith Urban? That's your sister, pain in the ass, but a beautiful pain in the ass. I love her. Angie, hi, in Texas. But it's a catalyst, too, so I'm like, now I got to get a... And now we get the word that Keith Urban hears it and loves it, and even more so in the middle of COVID, his wife loved the song, Nicole. There's so many layers to this. And so he ends up loving it, and he posts, during COVID, he went in his basement where he's got a recording studio, and he posts this gorgeous post of him playing the song, I'm cutting this song, and then Nicole dancing around, and of course you're feeling really good as songwriters, because you're like, oh, this could really happen. Oh, and Chris August sang the demo. It's not Shy, who Shy's an incredible singer, sang the demo, because we were just like, okay, let's just finish this. So the 4 of us are on it. It's all good. It's a co-write. It's beautiful. And Keith Urban cuts it, and then we follow it along, and we find out he uses John Mayer's band. Ben Montench played some keyboards on it. The drummer for John Mayer was playing drums on it. I don't think it was Steve, and I don't know if it was Aaron. It was a drummer.
Aaron Keys?
No. Sterling, yeah. Aaron Sterling.
And
I don't even know if Aaron Sterling played on it. I just know that he wanted to do an LA thing with it. Anyway, he cuts it, and when we get it back, from getting a lot of cuts, sometimes you're like, oh, you're not crazy about the cut. With that one, man, holy crap. Finally get your Keith Urban cut, and it's slaying. And I will shout out to Keith, too. I love Keith Urban, man. When this song came out, so the song comes out as a single, I think it went to number 4, or I can't remember, but boy, it was a smash. And man, I remember, and I literally texted Keith, because it wasn't a relationship where I have his phone number. Well, I do now, but we text each other. And he always gets back. And I send him songs, and he always gets back to you. He's a great guy, and what a talented guy. But I know at the end of that, there's a fade out. And the last, I think 30 seconds of the song, there's a guitar lick he does that just makes every moment of my life and every hardship in Nashville worth it. It's like hearing Willie Nelson sing your song recently. When you hear Willie Nelson finally sing it back through your speaker, you're like, everything you've gone through, because it's hard, man. But that last, I can still listen to that. He does this, and it gives me chills every time. It's just on the outro. And even sometimes the radio cuts off before you hear it. But it's worth every minute I've had ups and downs in this town. Keith playing this guitar solo. And I remember being at some speech Dan Huff did, and Dan Huff didn't praise Keith on that one. And I said, yeah, have you heard we got the new Keith Urban single? And Dan Huff's like, oh yeah, that 70s thing. He kind of was a little bit
full circle.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah. But now that I listen to it, man, and you know what's funny? Morgan Wallen, man, you know, huge success right now. He knocks out these songs like, what's that, 7 Summers?
Yep.
And again, if I was at your piano, I could show you there's a 70s thing that Morgan Wallen does on certain songs that's really, really great and it really resonates. And there's also a Sam Hunt song called 23. Mm-hmm. If you listen to it, it's 2 chords, the whole song. Major 7 chords. Great song. I think Sam wrote it with, I want to say Josh Osborne. Oh, what's the producer? Chris LaCourte. God, and Josh Osborne and Shane McAnally. It's a great song. It's just a track, and it's a great song, but it's got that 70s thing. Anyway, I don't know how we came around to all that, but to finish up this story, I was so happy because at the BMI Awards every year, I see Keith and Nicole from across the room, and I was like, wow, I'm going to find, and I've said hi to Keith. We know each other. I wrote a song called High Cost of Living years ago with Jamie Johnson. Big old song. And Keith had said in People magazine or something in an interview, he goes, one of the 5 songs that got me through rehab was The High Cost of Living. And I was like, holy, that's amazing. So I met Keith in the studio and I mentioned that to him. He loved the song, but we'd never written and he'd never cut one of my songs. So I was like, I'm going to finally, with a big song, I'm going to get to be at the BMI Awards, put my arm around him, get to maybe hang with Nicole a little bit because she's such a fan of the song. So excited. And then COVID is when the song comes out. And that year was the one year they scrapped the BMI Awards.
No!
Yeah, I was going to be like, you work hard. And does it sound shallow? I wanted to say hi to Nicole, give her a hug. She's awesome. And Keith, And I'm accepting our BMI Award online. Keith not even there, And Clay Bradley going, and here's Slater. And God Whispered Your Name, big hit. And you're like, oh, my God.
Thanks for joining the Zoom call.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And, have you ever hugged, I talk about, I'm just crazy like that. Have you ever hugged Keith? 3 guys I've given hugs to over the years that smell so great.
Keith Urban is one of them.
Keith Urban is one of them. I gave him a hug once, at one of the, I think he was in a number 1 party for, what's that song he did with Tim McGraw was on it. He played guitar in Taylor Swift, The Highway, or something like that. I think the Warren Brothers wrote it. But you hug Keith Urban, you're like, God damn, you smell good. And then there was Luke Bryan. I was on a bus one time, and I gave him a hug. Damn, you smell good. And then...
Who's behind door 3?
Tim McGraw.
Oh, Tim McGraw.
And I think they have their own sense and stuff, but... Tim McGraw, we went up to Cherokee, and I've had, I think, 10 to 12 songs with him. God, I love that guy. And I went with my girl, and we got in, we met him after the show at Cherokee Casino in North Carolina and gave him a hug, and damn, you smell good. So it's one of those things, It's funny. How did we get to that? I don't even know.
God Whisper Your Name.
Yeah, but all that. And so I guess I'm just giving a shout out to guys with sense. It's funny, I heard a podcast recently, Steph Jones, who wrote Espresso. It turns out her side quest, or her side, is she loves scents. And she makes her own scents for people. So there's something about the scent thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how we got to that. But
no, that's great.
I guess you could just call it guys who smell good. And before I walked in here, I had this Yves Saint Laurent Pour Homme. That's my scent. And I kind of put a little on before I go into a place because it's nice when somebody goes, oh, he smells good.
Yeah.
Or you've hugged women, and you kind of go, wow. They smell good. Like vanilla or something like that. It's such a scent that's so powerful. You can walk into a room or something or some this or that, and it's powerful. So like God Whispered Your Name. That's pretty much the story about that. But what a blessing.
Cool.
Yeah. 4 writers on that would have never come out if we hadn't been in that room. No matter how it came to be at the very end. Again, co-writing. It's weird.
So I'm curious. how you keep your creative soil fertile.
Oh, man.
Like, do you take many sabbaticals? How do you recharge when you're, writing songs? I mean, do you still carry a five songs a week kind of a schedule, or?
No, I think I'm probably booked to write 3 songs a week, and then I leave 2 days for doing these things or writing with somebody that I love, like a Tom Douglas. Maybe I'll call him at last minute. What are you doing tomorrow? And we'll get together and either talk or write or, that kind of thing. But I mean, the way to keep that going, man, is just filling up your bucket, man, because you're constantly emptying your bucket. So I'm a big reader, hence God moves the pen. I'm a big reader, and I've got all my notebooks and my cassettes. So when I'm really feeling dry, I'll go and get one of these cassettes that I was sitting in a hotel room in Zurich, Switzerland in 2000. When was I there? Before 2000, like 1998. I was probably in a Berlin hotel room, and who knows what had happened the night before. I was salsa dancing in a club called La Cucaracha in Berlin, and I met a girl that had red hair that said something in German, and it'll resonate with me, and I'll go home and I'll start writing something on the keyboard and then I'll hear that tape 20 years later, and I'll go, wow. And I'll listen to that cassette tape, probably back in Zurich. I went back to Zurich and played for an hour, and a lot of it's crap. You're like, ooh, but then I'll do something on the piano, as you guys know, or say something or a lyric. I'll go, ooh, that gave me a little rise. So today in 2025, I would never have thought of that, but I have it back from 1998, and that's something that I need to express. And that'll be something I'll go, oh, let's write that. Because I'm not in a room with a girl with red hair in Berlin, and yet that's valid, You can't write that in 2025 unless I would never have remembered it. So fortunately, that. And I also travel. Oh, my God. I go to places that, I try to go. Yeah, Cuba. I've been to Cuba 4 times, once by boat. It's such a mind-blown thing to go to a communist country, and I love Cuba. I love the people there. Long story, but I met Fidel Castro. I have a picture of me shaking Castro's hand. Wow. Years ago, went on a writing trip there. He's now since passed, but what an experience that was. I just love the Cuban people. I love the country. Oh, shout out for anybody who hears this that's in Nashville. There's a place called Back to Cuba. It's a Cuban restaurant. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
Have you heard of it? God, man.
Tell us about it.
You guys are going to have to leave your Germantown location, which is very cool, yes, and drive down I-65 south toward Huntsville. But you get off at Old Hickory before even Brentwood and all that. Go east to Edmondson Pike, and right there, you can look it up, Back to Cuba. Man, I was there with Phil Vassar last week. A month ago, I took Ian Fitchuk and Sarah Buxton, just naming people you guys know. Or
is this just like over behind the Hardee's?
So I don't know where the Hardee's is.
Isn't there like a Hardee's right there?
There's a Publix. It's a strip mall. There's a Publix there.
Okay.
And anybody that's been here a long time has known Back to Cuba. He had a little restaurant on Harding Pike. It's just a little dive next to Mamma Mia's, his wife's place. It all got wiped out by another MAPCO, And now he finally he made it through COVID, and he's opened this up. I'm just telling you guys, run there because it's authentic. He's Cuban and his wife is Colombian, and I go there once a week. I literally sit down, and William, you'll love this because by the time I sit down, she makes me my café con leche on a beautiful machine, like one of your stellar machines you got back there, and they're delicious. And then I get the shrimp with garlic sauce and plátanos maduros, which is sweet bananas, arroz con frijoles, that's the rice with the black beans, and then you can get, and I'm just throwing my maracuya juice, which is passion fruit, mango juice, and it's incredible. Back to Cuba, right there on Harding and Anson. There probably is a Hardee's there. I know out the window you can see a tiny one of those mini little Smoothie Kings, and there's a Publix. It's in a strip mall.
Yeah, it's right here.
God, is it good?
I see.
And I'll send you guys after this. I'll send you. They have a little. I think they have a little Spanish. Some people have gone in and done. How do you call it? I guess your iPhone or what is it? Instagram things. And I'll send you a little thing, and you can circulate it because I just want people to know about it.
Yeah.
Back
to Cuba.
Back to Cuba. So it keeps me grounded. I've been to Cuba 4 times. And every time I'm in there, somebody walks in who's Latin that you need to know about. The other day I was in there was a woman in there with 10 cartons of eggs. Beautiful girl from Cuba. And she and her husband is Cuban. They live out in Spring Hill, and they do fresh eggs and all. They bring them to him. It's just an amazing place, man. And he actually bought a keyboard, and it's in the corner. We haven't done it yet because he just opened. We're going to have a Latin night once a month.
Let's go.
Yes.
That's
and we're
awesome.
going to go in there, and you guys are going to come, and we're going to hang out. And we're just going to jam and sing and play songs, and it's going to be great.
I love that.
Yeah.
So traveling fills your
So
cup.
it feels like reading. I'm a big fan of the printed word. I love reading. God, I read everything. I'm a huge Hemingway fan. I spend a lot of time in Key West. Key West is, God, there's a song called Key West Address online. I'm kind of like the unofficial mayor of Key West. It's the theme song of Key West.
You're famous in Key West.
Yeah, famous in Key West, man. I did 2 years ago an album of just piano songs in Jimmy Buffett's Shrimp Boat Studios. God, we can just, Key West. You asked what inspired me. Key West, man. I get off there. Why is it that Jimmy Buffett, it's not just a beach like Panama City beaches or Myrtle beaches and all that. This is a place where Jimmy Buffett lived and breathed. Jerry Jeff Walker, Shel Silverstein, Ernest Hemingway, Tennessee Williams. Why were they all drawn to this little 2x4 mile island down there? There's a reason. There's bookstores there. A lot of people will go there, and I'll be like, I'm not a big drinker, but they'll be like, they go down for the Key West Songwriter Festival, and they get hammered, and they're having out till 4 in the morning. That's great. Cross to another dimension, which is fantastic. But me, I've been going there 20 years. Man, I'm about getting on my bicycle. Kenny loves this too, Chesney. He loves getting on a bike, and you just cruise the streets of Key West. I'm giving you a hack. Cruise the streets at night, by the cemetery, just at night on your bike, and then spend time in the bookstores where Hemingway, or the bars where Hemingway and those guys hung out. And it's just the most creative place. That's why there's a songwriting festival, probably the biggest songwriting festival in America. Maybe the world is down there once a year. Yeah. I go down there, yeah.
Super neat.
And I've even been on a boat. I got on a boat there and went to Cuba, spent 8 days at the Marina Hemingway, which is another mind-blowing thing. Again, I love Cuba, the art, the music. And then came back, and Key West is just a creative nexus, man. That keeps your brain going. You've always got to try to find new ways to
cultivate.
To cultivate, man.
Yeah.
It's so important. Everybody's got their own way, I guess,
Right.
But what do they say? Direct experience is, knowledge is great. Oh, knowledge is great. But action's even better. So you can have all this knowledge. I mean, we all listen to podcasts, but at some point, you gotta learn it, and then you gotta take action and create something. Because nowadays we've got so many influences between podcasts, social media. You can find yourself taking that all in, but at some point you gotta push it all away and sit at the piano, if that's what you want to do, and create something, or the guitar. Or that. It's an interesting time. I think my brain is different. It's harder to write now than it was 20 years ago.
Well, there's so much noise.
Yeah.
And to your point,
it's harder.
I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. It's like you're either creating or you're consuming. Yeah. It's one of the two. And if your way to escaping and creating new things, in my current outlook, is you have to create.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds really, redundant when I say it like that, but if there's no output, then you're only taking input,
Yeah.
And that's got to go somewhere for people who are,
And it's hard to not take input because it's all there. So it's easy to sit on the couch and listen to podcasts. It's great. You always come out with hopefully someone will come away with something from this,
Absolutely.
Or one or two little nuggets. We all know it. You hear, but at the some time, if that's what you want, you have to kind of sit down. My publisher, there was a point at BMG a couple years ago, I was feeling frustrated. I'm just going to say, shout out to Chris Oglesby, head of BMG Music Publishing, a wonderful guy, been in the business forever. He looked at me in the room and he goes, Slater, because I was like, God, you know, these guys want to write, and there's so much going on. And he goes, Slater, this is great. He goes, get up in the morning. I signed you for this, man. Get up in the morning. What did he say? I want to kind of quote. Push your left nutsack over. Go to the damn piano and just play the piano and do your thing. And, you know what I mean? It just says it all, man. It's like, and I love using it. He's going to laugh when he hears that. I've said that in front of big audiences too, and we laugh our asses off because, and I think about that to this day, man. I think, okay, there's so much coming at you. I don't even have kids, man. I can't imagine people like our friends Rob Dennis, shout out to my buddy Rob, and all these people have kids, and so much coming at you, but you got to sometimes wake up in the morning and shove your nutsack over. I'm sorry, and then go to your instrument and just block it out. Even the phone, you know, we use our phones to record ourselves now, but there's that ding, something's coming in from somewhere, and all of a sudden, I'm just saying my thoughts go out to it's harder nowadays. And as an artist, Julia Cole, my friend, she's got 1,900,000 followers, and she's navigating the world of being an artist. But don't forget to content. Don't forget to film yourself. Don't forget you better put it out there if you want to get your... So I don't know how many artists I've sit in the room with, and they're like, God, I didn't know I'd have to sign up for this. You know, I'm trying to write songs and trying to do my best with it, but I also have to now videotape everything I do. What did I eat for breakfast? Get content out for TikTok.
I don't envy that.
It's hard,
pressure.
Man.
I think today more now than ever, like, you grew up at a time where you didn't really have to fight for boredom. Now, I mean, I kind of look at boredom. Some of my best solo writes are from me being okay with being bored. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, in that, I'll be a lot more sensitive to, oh, there's inspiration right there. Yeah. You know, I have a song that we recorded last year with Monroe, and you know, Chris McHugh and Mark Hill and all these guys, all these legendary session guys,
musicians.
But it was late at night, and I was watching a video on YouTube, and I was bored. Yeah. You know, and just putting no pressure on myself to really have something or anything, but I did want to write, and I can kind of feel that when something's like percolating.
Yeah,
you know, it's
it's tugging at your shirt, kind of like a little kid going, "Hey, man, I'm here."
I'm here, and I don't know what it is yet, but it starts to well. And anyway, I came across a YouTube comment that said that girl has glitter in her veins.
Yeah, it's good.
And 2 hours later, I have a song that, you know, just it's like I knew it was coming, but I think today it's so easy and convenient, and we're almost kind of, I don't want to go as far as say programmed, but there's a fill for the void of boredom. Mm-hmm. There's like such an easy access, you know, dopamine hit with our phones, with everything. And, you know, a generation ago, like, it's funny because we're there's so much technology change so fast today now, more than 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But I find myself laying in the bed with my eyes closed, going to a place, and for me that was, you know, a farm. There's no screens. Yeah. You know, it's just kind of my little nirvana. But there's something to that. And I think that a lot of the noise, the constant noise, you have to be able to put it somewhere, and then that way you can make your own noise.
You got to carve time out for that, whatever way that is. I got to do an aside because you just said glitter in your veins, so I'm guessing you used that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the hook.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you know, when you hear that thing, you're like, oh, you might be in a bar, you might be a girlfriend, say something. But just kind of an aside, there's a painter, I think it was Jackson Pollock, unless I'm getting my paint. How do you know when a song is finished? How do you know when a painter, a painting is finished? And I'll never, because that's a tough one. You know, how do you know when a mix is done? How do you know when a song is really done? You don't need to add another verse or this kind. And he answered, he goes, how do you know when you're finished making love? That's when you're finished. It was just an interesting kind of mind warp. I don't know. And that is an aside to this other, it's a grown-up podcast. And my girl would probably go, what are you talking, James? Because sometimes I go to places and she's like, are you crazy to have said that? No. There was a woman in Europe. I think we had a particularly wonderful, amorous encounter. Probably my ex back there, probably, I'll just say. And I remember we were talking about, it was afterwards, I guess you'd be smoking cigarettes, but I don't smoke. So I'm just being real. And I had asked her, can I ask you a question? And I said, it was a European girl, I remember she had the most beautiful eyes. What is an orgasm like to you? Because think about that. But that's kind of funny. And I'll never forget, I forget where we were. She goes, this is like orgasm. Plus it's, European. This is, how do I say, fireworks or champagne in your veins.
Love that.
You don't have to say anything. I was, oh my God, can you explain it for me?
Yeah.
Now, you have certain listeners probably going, what the fuck is he talking about? Why is he talking about? No, I'm just being honest.
It's a human experience.
It's a human experience, which we've hopefully all and will experience. It's a beautiful one, right? And does it get any better than that explanation? Yeah. And then reminding me of Jackson Pollock saying, how do you know when you're finished? And your glitter in your veins. Yeah. Champagne or fireworks in your, I'm like, there you go.
Yeah. She's a poet.
She's a poet. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How did we get on that? But those are great stories. Europe, I was just talking to Rob Dennis about that the other day. When you live in a foreign country, this is or you go someplace different, and relationships and this, how are you introduced to influences that if you'd lived with your blinders on in your comfort zone, you would have never experienced? Well, one is an ex-girlfriend. This was my ex. She was a teacher at the time in Europe. So in the morning, she would get up and ride her bike. This is a little town in Zurich, Switzerland, outside of Zurich. And she would go to teach. And so she would leave me as a young musician writer at her house alone till she came back that day. I was running off every weekend playing in shows in different parts of the world with this band, and I'd come back. That was my place. What do they call a writer without a girlfriend? A musician without a girlfriend? Homeless? That was basically me. Yep. Shout out to Eva and her parents, who were so amazing in Europe for those years. So I would stay at her apartment, and she had cassettes and CDs of all this stuff. It's not what you usually would buy, but I remember she had The Doors, all right? Jim Morrison. And I was like looking at it first going, I'd grown up with Doors. And it's kind of weird. Come on, baby, light my fire. Okay, cool. But boredom, I would put on some of those cassettes and just listen. And all of a sudden, over the weeks or whatever that I listened, I was like, people are strange when you're a stranger. Just the artistic, I went deep with them. And I was like, after knowing her through her, I had an affection for The Doors after that. So then I could kind of go, wow. The keyboard playing, oh God, what's the guy's name? Robbie? No, that's a guitar player. Robbie Correa, there's the guitar player. Ray Manzarek, keyboard player. Jim Morrison, crazy as hell, but man, what a poet. Really. And so I now love The Doors. And because of a situation that I would never have followed. And I was speaking to Rob Dennis, our buddy. There was something else. Some way else. I'm sure you've got situations where you would have never heard this or found this if you'd never been with that person or been in that certain thing. That same girlfriend wanted me to go to Istanbul. I'll never forget. Istanbul, Turkey. And she was going for a wedding. And I had to play that weekend. It was probably something I could have canceled. I was like, I'm not going to go to Istanbul. To this day, man, I got to write about that. I've got this song in my head called Istanbul. Because I didn't go. And looking back many years later, I played 1 billion gigs. I probably could have blown off this one, gone to Istanbul. But I wish I'd gone to Istanbul with her. Because the more people, I'll run into people, they'll be like, man, have you ever been to Turkey? And I'll be like, no, but I almost went to Istanbul. I should have gone to Istanbul with her. That's a whole other thing, But those situations, how you got to be careful. That's why I do the Soldiers thing. That's why I do a lot of things, because I know it's going to open up a part of me that I thought was, I don't need to do that. No, sometimes you got to say yes to things, and you look back and you go, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I stayed there. I'm glad I learned the music about the Doors. And the only thing about Rob Dennis I want to say on this podcast, who our buddy with rock and roll, the only problem we've got is he thinks that the Sammy Hagar Van Halen years are the top, and he's absolutely insane. And all you people listening to this, if you know the David Lee Roth Van Halen years, there was nothing like that.
Mic drop.
Mic drop right there. I remember
put it right in his face.
When I was in college down in Miami, University of Miami. That's a whole other story. I went there because I heard Bruce Hornsby's The Way It Is. I went, I got to learn. That's how I ended up at University of Miami. I saw the Van Halen at the Sportatorium when they were smashing it. And I went. It was sweaty. It was 18,000 people in the Sportatorium, and I'll never forget David Lee Roth on stage there like a court jester. Eddie Van Halen just slaying this arena, and I'll never forget. In the middle of finishing one of the songs, girls were just on the edge of the stage trying to grab me. It was one of those sweaty, great concerts you'll never forget. I remember he goes in the middle of a song. They stopped, and he goes, "What did you say?" And this girl goes, and he goes, "Take the mic. What did you say?" And she goes, "I wanna fuck you." The place went crazy over the mic,
That's hilarious.
And you just never forget. And he's just like, oh my God. And now, Eddie's passed, and David Lee Roth's doing his thing, and he's been through this and that. And Sammy Hagar's great too. No, but Rob and I always kid each other. And I'm like, you had to understand the David Lee Roth years. And he goes, no, Sammy years, man. It was all good, but
well, we could just keep going on and on.
Holy
I love this.
Well,
you could tell a story, man.
Yeah, well, I do want to say I have a song that just came out called "All the Cool Bands," because this relates, and it's really, we're talking songwriting and inspiration. How do you? Okay, let's go with this. I played a private show in Amelia Island, Florida. That's the east coast of Florida near Jacksonville.
I love Amelia Island.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm doing a lot of private shows there because there's some folks that like what I do. And a guy walked into one of my shows, and he was wearing a T-shirt, and it said, "I may be old, but I got to see all the cool bands." And I'm like, oh,
that makes me think of Monroe.
Yeah. Doesn't it? Of course. So, of course, there's that thing we were talking about, the tugging on the shirt. I, of course, went, oh, my God, that's great. And I'm old enough I wasn't as old as him, but I'm old enough to say I never got to see Led Zeppelin, And if you guys haven't seen that Led Zeppelin film that just came out a year ago about their, it's incredible. I've seen it twice. Once at the Belcourt and once with Rob Dennis. So I went home from that show, came back to Nashville, put that in my memos, and I keep thinking about that. About 2 weeks later, I was in Fort Pierce, Florida, and I was sitting at a dive bar in Fort Pierce, Florida on the water. I've got a place down there. It's where my parents used to live. And I love dive bars, Key West, all that. That's where you get the song. If you're listening, I was sitting next to a guy. He had no teeth, long beard. His name was Goat. He was probably 76 years old. I'm just sitting with him having a beer at this dive bar on the coast there. And the band was a Doobie Brothers cover band. And I turned to him and I was like, this is about 2 or 3 weeks after the shirt incidents. And I said, man, I never got to see the Doobie Brothers, dude. And he just looked at me. And I kind of, he's sitting next to me. I don't even know him. He goes, man, I'm still high from Woodstock, bro. And you're just like, fuck, your antennas are up as a songwriter. Yeah. They better be. And I'm just like, that's the funniest thing I ever. Turned out, cool guy. We talked for a while. Band's playing Doobie Brothers. Fast forward to a month later, I'm at the piano. He said, I'm still high from Woodstock. Yep. That was 1969. I looked up when Woodstock was, 69-ish, He said, I'm still high from Woodstock. That was 1969. Hell, if I'd taken better care of myself, if I had known I'd live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Which is another thing I heard years ago. Hey man, if I'd known I'd live from an old dude, if I'd known I'd live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Right. So anyway, wrote this song finally, and it's a solo write, and I've worked on it. And I probably made 6 demos of that song. Not because every time I play it live, people go crazy. I mean, sing it back. The cool bands. Finally, I think I'm working with a guy named Andy Skibb, good friend of mine, lives on the east side, great guy. Cut it with him. I did many demos of this song. Couldn't get the energy, couldn't get it right. And I got it now. And it's out on Spotify and everything. And man, when I play that song, dude, it's like what we're talking about, you know. I'm really proud of that song. And I've tried to get Kenny to record it. It's just not quite for him. Sent it to the guys in Old Dominion, not quite. But dude, it's out there, and there's some bigger life on that with that song. When I play it live now, it's pretty awesome. And finished that just myself, and I'm really happy the way that came out. Right. And you know, it's weird because I name check Ozzy Osbourne in that, and Ozzy now passed, so it's even more poignant, you know. So really happy about that one, but we'll see. Yeah.
Hey, so we got to get you back on because there's so many times like where I'm like, oh, I gotta ask this.
Yeah.
So we'll do it. We gotta do a season 2 or something. And
of course, yeah.
And what's fun about this is, man, you can really tell a great story. You're like you're talking to the camera. Yeah. Like, good for you, man. Yeah. Like seriously, you have a really great presence. And all that to say, we have a lot of great content we want to provide for you.
Yeah.
Through this.
Sure.
And we can collaborate it with you on that on socials. We can send it to you. You can do it yourself. But I mean, you have so much wisdom, so many stories. And what's great about Hill and I, like, we have these questions to ask you. We only asked a few.
Oh my gosh!
Because you answered it for us, and like answer new questions we didn't even think of. Like, it's just good job. Yeah,
and no, I mean, look, it's a very comfortable situation here. I've got coffee, which is great. Café con leche, of course. And the vibe is everything, man. I talked about this earlier. I go into a lot of rooms here in town, and I'm such a piano guy, you know. Again, so I'm a piano man in this guitar town, you know. And I just I'll live and die by that piano right there. And so when I go into a place, I walk in, it's already comfortable. And where there's a real piano there, you know, and so I got to play a little bit that before we went on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's some of the bumper music we used for my
absolutely.
or whatever.
Absolutely.
So like I said before, I'm most comfortable with piano. So if I'm around a piano or a vibe like this, I spent a year in New Orleans before I realized I was going to go to University of Miami, and like you guys, you went to college, studied. Did you go to college too?
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking with Hill. You
yep.
guys,
we both went to Georgia.
Yep. Oh, Georgia, University of Georgia. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I went there when I was very young, very, very young. Just to backtrack really quickly, all I want from Santa is a girl from Atlanta. All right? I'm in college at University of Miami studying music because I went to New Orleans. Oh, I was going to say, this room you were in right now is so vibey and makes me feel I'm in New Orleans again. And like I'm just playing at a bar. It just makes me feel like I'm back in college again. And I ended up back down at University of Miami. Just before I graduated Miami, my buddies, somebody called us from down in Miami. I didn't know anything about Atlanta or even Nashville. I was 19, 20, 21, 22 probably. And they're like, you want to go play in Atlanta for Christmas? We're on break before school starts up, and it's my last year. We're going to make this amount of money. We're playing at a place called Timothy John's in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm like, I told the band, we're just playing 5 nights a week to help me get through college at University of Miami. And I'm like, yeah, we'll go up to Atlanta. I heard about these girls up there, Peaches, like Georgia Peaches, right? And I didn't know anything about them. I'm like 21, 22 years old, last year of school. And like, we'll make some money over Christmas break. Yeah, let's go, man. We're going to do it. So the day before, we finish a gig one night, and I come back. I go, gotta write something. All I want from Santa is a girl from Atlanta. Yeah, 5'7", and she built. I write the whole thing. Oh my God, 100%er. Now that I think about it, here we go, coming back around to it. Not thinking about anything, just writing this song. We go up to Atlanta for Christmas. Cold, freezing. We drove our ratty van up to Atlanta from Miami. We're just going to spend 2 weeks at a club. And we play it the first night downtown Atlanta. And the bartender goes, dudes, that's a hit song. You should go record that. And we're like, what? I really haven't recorded too much music at 21, 22. We're just trying to get through college and trying to be an incredible piano player and, do all that stuff. Playing mostly covers, to make, your $100 a night each or whatever.
Yeah, Billy Joel on a budget.
Yes. Honestly, doing all that. So we're in Atlanta, just to tie it back to Georgia, how much I love Georgia, man. All comes back around, man. And we play that song, everybody freaks out, and it's just this ditty, And he goes, we don't have any money. And he goes, you should record that. He gives us the number of a guy, and we look in the paper or something. We look at it. Studio, $25 an hour back then. we call the guy, and he goes, yeah, you boys come down here and record tomorrow if you want. I'll give you 4 hours studio time. It'll cost you like $200. I'm like, hell yeah. We go down there we don't have to play till 9 that night. This is a true story, man. We go down, and this dude, black dude, comes out with an Uzi, Ken. It's in like a rough section of town for 4 Latin white boys from Miami. But we're like, yeah, let's go. This is years ago. He comes out with an Uzi in the studio, and he's like, what do you guys... And we're okay. We go in. Turns out he becomes a really good friend of ours. We cut this song in 2 hours. I sing it, play piano, background vocals, put the sleigh bells on there, all this, knock it out, like old days, man. No computers, I just knock it out. He's a great guy. He just came out with an Uzi because this neighborhood can be rough, so I got a studio here. Ken, God, shout out to him if he's still around. I don't know where he is. He literally sends us home with the mix. The next day we go, and somebody goes, you ought to play that on 96 Rock radio. I don't even know if in Atlanta there's still a 96 Rock, but it was the classic rock station in Atlanta, happening station. Trying to make this a long story short. We drive there, old school, like in a movie, to the station, and the DJ is like, what? Yeah. Hey, we're from Miami. We wrote this song, All I Want from Santa's a Girl from Atlanta. You should play. We don't just let people in here to play. And he goes, but it is a kind of a cool title. We drop it off with him. We're driving along. What's the one?
285.
285. We're driving on the loop. We're stuck in traffic.
I'm sorry.
And he's literally on 96. He's like, hey, man, it's the middle of Christmas, probably 8 days before Christmas. And he goes, these dudes from Miami just came in here with a song called All I Want from Santa. We're going to just play it for the hell of it. And you can... whatever. We don't do this very often, but we're going to do this because it's kind of a fun title, and it's Christmas, boys.
Because I've been high since Woodstock.
Yes, because I've been high. Yes. This is so fun to say this again, just back in those days, And then I remember Led Zeppelin was playing on the radio, finished probably Stairway to Heaven or something. It's one of those great classic rock stations, And he plays, and we're 21, 22 years ago. I'm hearing my voice. This is before getting cuts and everything. This is it, man. Your song on the radio. We know everybody in Atlanta is listening to this. All I want from Santa is... And it sounds great. And we're like, wow. He gets off. It finishes. And the guy goes, boys, the phones are lighting up. People, they're loving your song. We might play it again tomorrow. We went trying to make a long story short. We went from... that song play in our ratty van. We played it that night. People started coming into the club each night. We were there for a week more, just leading up to Christmas. The next week, we were not in my ratty van. We were in the limo with all the Atlanta Falcon cheerleaders because they wanted to do a video of All I Want from Santa's a Girl from Atlanta. Atlanta Falcon cheerleaders. They're filming a video, and you can see your people can see that online. It's called All I Want from Santa's Girl. People have made bootleg videos of it, just a bunch of girls, But you'll see the cheerleaders, our band, and it became a Christmas hit, man. And for many years, then we'd go up there each Christmas until we realized after a while that you've got to do more than that, because right after Christmas, nobody cares about a Christmas song,
Right.
But man, I have the greatest memories, and I guess I'm going on and on, because it was a 22-year-old guy who heard his song on the radio, who I wrote in 20 minutes in Miami, who followed through, who did all those crazy things. And then now, I'm many years later. At the time, I never even thought of Nashville. It was 4 hours away, but Nashville to me was like country guys, Hank Williams Jr. But many, many years later, I'm back here in Nashville because I love the South. Born in Durham, but gone all around the world, and kind of everything comes back. And my first hit song was 4 hours away in this great town, Atlanta. I'm singing it, not thinking about what I was going to write about, just wrote about girls, And man, it was so great to have that song. I mean, to this day, many years later, I play it when I go to Georgia, and people go, I remember that song. Or you're like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm just smiling because the memories of that, yeah. Oh, and then Athens. We actually went to play at a place called O'Malley's. It probably isn't even there anymore. It was by the river. Mm-hmm. I remember going to Atlanta 10 years later to perform that song, and I'm never going, God, University of Georgia girls are the most beautiful things I've ever seen. A young guy, we were like, wow. And also I thought, I've never seen people drink more beer than Athens, Georgia.
It's probably true.
Yeah. And then, of course, REM came out of there, B-52s. Yep. I learned about awesome legacy of. So it really holds a special place in my Georgia, Athens, Atlanta, you know. And this podcast makes me go, I need to go back and just spend more time at Atlanta Christmas time, play some shows and stuff. Really, it really.
And in November, you know, why not?
November, yes.
Right after Thanksgiving.
Right after Thanksgiving, yes, yeah. A quick little aside, my band, of course, I graduated college, and we said, well, we got to go to Atlanta and follow up on that. After Christmas, we had to make money because it wasn't like we were supporting it. So our band guy, he's a Cuban. I know he was from Venezuela. I'll never forget. We had rented a house in Atlanta, and it's January. Christmas is over. We've got to make do. We're trying to make it happen. And he was lying in a bathtub, and they were all in our house. We're all sharing a house like old, band guys. And I said, Albert, what are you doing in there, man? He goes, I just finished mowing 20 yards. He had to mow lawns, but it was winter, but it was more like March. We were staying around trying to make it, after this hit song, but it's only a Christmas song. And I remember peeking in, and he's in the bathtub like this, and there are weeds and all over the water, like it looked like a swamp. Yeah. And I go, what are you? He goes, oh man, I'm so tired. I had to. He's Latin. He goes, I had to mow 20 yards, and this is the weeds, the garden from the. It was just. I'll just never forget that. And we're like, oh my God, we got to go back to Miami. It's just not happening in Atlanta, So again, it's jubilation and heartbreak, which is part of this whole frickin' journey that we all, it really is. It's part of the whole thing. It kind of goes hand in hand with life, doesn't it? Oh,
for sure. I think the plight of the creative, whether it's however you apply it, writing a book, writing a song, making a painting, particularly in Nashville, in the music industry, there's a pressure to produce. That comes naturally by way of our culture and by way of the industry.
Yeah.
And really where the artist is born, in my observation, is the responsibility to observe and to, take in so that you can produce. That's on you. That's really what makes you you.
And then following through. Probably follow through would be two words that, are like so huge because, again, we go back to our distractions. Take in and then produce, and you can start it, but you got to somehow follow through. That's hard, man, these days because so many things can distract you, But this is an important point, I just thought how life, as you get older, man, it's like there's joy and heartbreak right along with each other. I remember flying back to see my parents years ago out of the Nashville airport after I lived here down in Florida. I've made 1,000 journeys there, beautiful journeys. And then the last journeys in the last couple of years, because I've lost them both, are hard. Because you go back to a place that you love, and it's always supposed to be great, but
something's empty.
Man, it sucks. Yeah, it's empty. But I remember seeing a friend of mine, Tammy, in the terminal. I'm heading down there probably for a gig or to see my folks, and she's got tears in her eyes, and she's just come back from spreading her mom's ashes in the mountains of Carolina or something. I remember her looking at me, crying at the airport, and registering it, and then years later, that's me going down there to take my mom's ashes to put them in the ocean. And it's joy and heartbreak, I knew then one day that would be me, but till it happens to you, man, it's like you don't know that pain until that happens to you. And it isn't something to be, you guys are young, man. It's like we've all been through, or we're going to go through that. I'll just tell you one little thing. The Soldiers thing, there's a photographer on my first Songwriting With Soldiers experience. I think I can say this. They have a photographer there to document it. Because when you finish the camp, a month later, you get a beautiful bound book. And they get the soldiers get all that. Images of the camp, the songs he wrote with the lyrics. It's beautiful. A nice follow-up. Well, the photographer there had experience filming or shooting pictures in war. Whether it was Iraq, Afghanistan, he'd done that. So he's got his own stuff going on. So since he moved back to the States, he was now, I said, what do you do now, man? Because he lives with us there during the song. I said, what do you do now that you're back? That'd be hard, war, and he goes, oh yeah, I've seen it all. He said, but I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm a photographer for the LA Times violent, crimes. He's got to go film. I mean, take pictures, document all that stuff that goes on in a city like LA. And I just looked at him because I've got empathy. I'm like, God, yeah, it's that. He goes, no, that's worse than war. He goes, because in war, there's a sense of purpose. You're doing this for your country, and you see and film it. But in a place like LA or anything, we see like people just doing this. Just, you can't. Anyway, so I just want to tell you, heartache and joy. He goes, I said, give me an example of what that's like. And he goes, do you remember when the Los Angeles Dodgers, I think a year or two ago, I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I love it, won the World Series? I guess they won it in L.A. at Dodger Stadium. Yeah. He goes, I was out on assignment that night, and it was game 6, 7, whatever, and they were playing 10 miles away from where I was. And they called me, they said, man, we just had a woman walk across the street. Her kids were there, and she got hit by a car. You're going to have to document this for I don't know if it was homicide or what it was. So he said, James, I was walking, had to take shots of all this. She was on the street, still there. I got there right away. I get there sometimes before the police even get there. I had to shoot. And while I'm shooting this, her family was across the street, devastated, in tears, horrible. And at the same time I was shooting, all of a sudden fireworks were going off 10 miles away, and the Dodgers had just won the World Series. So in the midst of all this horrible chaos and heartbreak, 10 miles away are people, in jubilation. He goes, and it hit me right there. I was just like, and I think that's just life too, man. That's life too. It's like in the middle of all that, it goes side by side. Yeah. So I think you have to be an observer and make sure you honor that and honor the great stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, the most joyful people that I'm around, like, I think, again, culturally, we confuse joy and happiness, and you really can't be joyful unless you're truly present in grief.
Yeah.
Like the most joyful people that I know aren't absent trauma or aren't absent. Actually, they're probably some of the most traumatized, perhaps, or have gone through some of the most painful things, just heartbreaking things. But their ability to be present in their grief and still find, it's on the other side of that you really find joy.
Yeah. And again, until you've lived through certain things, I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago or 10 years before that. Mm-hmm. I've lost my brother and my dad and my mom. And I don't think I'm getting too down. I'm the most,
no.
When you see my shows, I'm wearing a colorful shirt here. But there is a place for both. And then you lose people, and you're definitely changed, and for the better, because it prepares you for life, Man.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
James, what's next for James Slater? What's going on?
Boy, I'm balancing. I just got back from England. I went over there for 3 things. My buddy Stephen Wilson Jr.
Yep.
I don't know if you know him.
Oh, yeah.
He was playing a place called the Shepherd's Bush Empire, so I've watched him go. He's a writer, as myself, BMG music, and he started as a writer, trying to write for Dierks Bentley and Tim McGraw, but then his dad passed away. And if you know his music at all, and anybody out there should check him out, his dad passing away suddenly, he had to make a record. And so writing, I think, about everything else was secondary to him. I think he just wrote a record about that loss. So he's really hitting it, really hitting it. So he's playing Shepherd Bush Empire. I went over with my publisher, Chris Oglesby, who I spoke about before, for that. And then I'm a huge tennis fan. I love the correlation of sports and music. I like football too and everything. But man, I'm good friends with the Bryan brothers, who were just inducted into the Hall of Fame for tennis with Maria Sharapova for the best doubles team that ever played up in Rhode Island. And so I went over to go to Wimbledon, because I'd been to Wimbledon before when I was living in Switzerland. But this time, I had 3 passes to go to matches. That was amazing. And then I had a show with my buddy Jeff Cohen playing in York. which is 2 hours north of London. And there's a club called the 45 Vinyl Club, which I'll encourage anybody to go there. It's a small, cool club like the Bluebird, and we went and we just slayed it there, and now I'm going back in March to play 2 nights there, 1 or 2 nights there again. So I think travel is in the future. A balance of co-writing. The song I mentioned earlier, I kind of touched on Rodney Crowell. I just have to kind of touch more on his brilliance, the value of a co-writer. You know, like I say, I've had these experiences, which we talked about, where a solo write is amazing, but there's so many instances where I want to make sure I honor the co-writer. The song Open Season on My Heart, which you should check out, would have been called the finest drunk in the world, which still I love the title, and I will do it. I was in L.A. years ago when I was just a kid, and I was at a seminar, and I saw a drum. It was the finest drums in the world, was the banner they had at this place. And
you saw it different.
A poster was obscuring the drums, and it said the finest in the world. And I went, oh, it's called the finest drunk in the world. And it wasn't until I turned around, I went, oh, it's drums, but I like that. Finest drunk in the world. And I got to finish that song. Fast forward, I wrote that in my little notebook, and I had always had it in my head. And I came to Nashville. My first co-write was probably Rodney Crowell. And I sat at the piano, and I had the music for it. It's the same music you'll hear on those recordings of McGraw's, Emmylou Harris, and Willie Nelson. And I just sat with Rodney at the piano, probably one of my first co-writes. And I had kept up with Rodney after writing with him on an Irish retreat, and he had kind of told me, yeah, well, look me up, you know. And again, follow through. I will just say, call somebody or keep in touch when you don't need something from them. I'm just trying to give my own, you know, I think I probably at the time was faxing. I think I faxed him some lyrics or something, but I would also just go, hey, Rodney, how you doing? This is later. One day when I get to Nashville, let's get together. Or just keep in touch with people, and not when you always need something.
No quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Just literally, when think of somebody.
Because I know people have done that with me, and like you remember them. It isn't like you need something all the time.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, when I finally made the step, the 9/11 thing happened. I heard the Billy Joel song. I moved to Nashville. One of the guys in my phone was Rodney. Somehow, I think because I signed right away because of In My Daughter's Eyes, and that's why God Made Mexico with Tim McGraw, I think I had the kind of firepower where he said, I'll get in the room with this guy. I didn't know what a legend he was. He had done that Diamonds and Dirt records. I had like 5 number ones. I just knew he was awesome. And I got together with him on the piano, and I said, I got this idea of finest drunk in the world. He's like, I remember him just sitting there. I hadn't co-written much, man. I'm here with this guy. Now I know he's a freaking legend. And he's like, can I take that home and work with it a little bit? I got a different idea. I'm like, of course, my protective, I like finest drunk in the world. And okay. He went home. He came back. And here's to the corners yet to turn. Here's to the bridges yet to burn. Here's to the whole thing blown apart. It's open season on my heart. I went, wait, maybe I don't know everything. I went, fuck. And he yeah.
The most honest response.
Yeah, I'm just part of what we do. And, the last verse, oh, my God. It's hard when I'm not playing on the piano. But, and then, pure rhymes, And then I would work on it with him, and we said, no. We worked it out, and to this day, and then that came out, and right away Tim McGraw recorded it. Here's to turning heartaches into art. It's open season on my heart. Here's to a guy, I've never been married, been engaged a couple times, and very happy now with a beautiful woman, awesome, who I am going to marry. But, you hear that, here's to turning heartaches into art. Oh, my gosh, that's me. That's life, man. My own true love has turned poison dart. Gosh, yeah. So I guess I'm gushing, but I'm just the value of a co-writer. I would have never written that song like that. And so we finished that song within like 2 weeks. Turn it in, Tim McGraw on the Live Like You're Dying album. Cuts it. Thank God, because in those days, that album sold 4 to 5 million. It wasn't a single, but God, you go to your mailbox and you see this check.
Yeah.
Because you had a song on a 5 million, 4 million seller. And wow. You didn't have to fight for the single,
We've lost something in that.
We've lost something. That's a whole other conversation, guys.
It is.
And I want to just say, shout out to my buddy Tom Douglas. Same month, co-wrote with Tom Douglas. How did I even get in with Tom Douglas? Probably co-writers. People are like, why are you going to write with Tom? He's a piano player. You guys are two piano players. I don't know. I think it'll be fun.
Is that the Carrie Underwood one?
No, that was on the Live Like You're Dying album. Another song on there, We Carry On. Hey, kitty. You know that, God, what is it? That quote I love. Come here. That dogs think they're human and cats think they're God. And it's really true. I love that. Hi, kitty. But to finish that, so 2 songs that I co-wrote with just 2 co-writes end up on the Live Like You're Dying album. They both weren't singles. I wish I'd written Live Like You're Dying because that was massive. Tim Nichols is a good friend of mine. Craig Wiseman, great guy too. But that album comes out and it sells, and so you get these beautiful checks in the mail, and you're like, wow, both those songs were not, were co-written. I couldn't have written those songs without a co-writer. So I'm just trying to come back full circle. So I'm trying to write, the answer to your question, keep traveling and see the world while you can, and go to England and places. I'm supposed to go with Rob to Mexico City to see Casey Musgraves next month. Just because we want to go to Mexico City right now is the hub, I speak Spanish, for art and cuisine, food. Do that. Hopefully we'll end up going. Write, maintain, keep the mind, the soul, the body, in tune with beautiful things. Share with guys like you, write solo songs. I've got so many. And collaborate with people too, and try to all balance it with having a balanced life. But music is such an obsession, man. And just one little aside, my mom just passed away a year ago, and that's been like, man, your mom goes. And I don't know if you guys, what your relationship with is your mom. Mine was really close after my brother and my dad died over the last years. But then your mom, you kind of think she could live forever. And she was 91. She had a hugely long, beautiful life. But man, on her dresser, when you have to go and clean out the house and everything, she had a little index card, and she was a beautiful singer. I did 2 albums on her, which is, everyone should do something like that. But she had like 10 songs she'd got to work on. So I realized at 91, she was so obsessed with music and gave me my obsession, and my dad too, in a different way. She was still working on songs before she fell on the 3rd time, then she couldn't recover from that and died. And I'm like, God, I tell Liz, my fiancée, I'm like, that's going to be me, man. No matter what you do, you're probably going to still go, I still wish I could. I'm still trying to master certain things. Steely Dan songs, chords, lyrics, trying to write that next song that you can't write, trying to do that next thing. Yeah. Our buddy Tom Doug's the same way. We talk. He's great. He's probably in his 70s now, and he's still trying to get that next song or screenplay or that fire. It's a beautiful thing. It could be such a torturous thing, but it's so great too. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. That's what's next. Everything. And also just trying to enjoy my next Cuban meal. Love it. God, yeah. And honor your parents. Honor those people you've lost, and just try to get better at that 88 key monster over there. I love the piano so much, and you'll never get as good as you wish you were. Oof. Billy Joel just kind of, he's going through a lot of health stuff. Elton John's not touring anymore. And Billy's like, what did he say in his documentary? I think he met Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond was frustrated because he was trying to forgive himself for not being Beethoven. I don't know if I'm quoting this right, but Billy Joel admitted, he goes, I'm trying to forgive myself. Never, the critics are always kind of against me. I'm just pop music. So I'm still trying to forgive myself for not being as good as like a Mozart or a Beethoven. I'm kind of paraphrasing all that. But like probably trying to forgive myself for not being Billy Joel or Elton John or anything, you're always trying to get there, But you got to push a lot of that away sometimes. Goes, what are you, like your cards here, these Monroe cards, I like those. What's your essence, man? What's your real, we can always all get so caught up with what we're not. But what are you, and then something will happen where you'll write a song like Café con Leche, or Guys Named Captain, or oh my God, I have so many people come up and go, I wish I hadn't quit. I saw your show. I wish I hadn't quit the piano when I was 9 or 15. And I thought I almost quit, but it was from my mom that I didn't quit. So just, making sure you remember what's your fortes, man. Play on that. Go for that. That's so satisfying.
Connect that back a few minutes. Even outside of talking on joy and grief, you really find out who you are when you're going through grief.
Man, you do. Yeah. Oh, boy, you do. Yeah.
That's one of the unique human experiences where if you can be present with yourself in it, then that's where you can find authenticity, and that's where also you can find joy. And we're so good at ignoring it or trying to ignore it or don't know how. It's like otherworldly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's good for you because you carry yourself through the world after that in a different way. When I see anybody with a boot on, the boot you get when you've broken your foot or something, you see them. I broke my foot in 2000, I can't remember, 13, and I broke my foot, and I had to go around on crutches for 3 or 4 months. And man, now I'm fine. But boy, whenever I see somebody in an airport, in a restaurant, in a boot, I go, hey, I was there. Trust me, whatever you're going through, I bet you're having a hard time taking a shower and all the stuff you have to do. It's a pain in the ass, but you're going to be okay. And one day you're going to be running around again. Just get through it. And it's nice to hear that, because people are going through stuff. I remember how hard it is when you're running around on crutches. And like, that just, people are going through stuff, man. The girl that lost her mom, now I've been through it, so I can tell you it's a tough thing. Learn from it. You find more about yourself. Yeah.
Well, James, thanks for coming on, Bilby and Ella. This is great.
You guys are great, man. It's so beautiful. You guys really listen well. I hope I didn't overtalk or overshare. I don't think I did.
No, I think that's the point. Like, we on purpose try not to ask like a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Or talk a lot. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, want to say something. I'm like, no, it's more important to let you talk and tell the story, because that's the point. It's like this podcast in a way is educational, not only for us, but for people that, part of our vision is Hill and I have been here in Nashville for like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And so part of our vision is we're still educating ourselves. We're all educating ourselves.
Always learning.
But it's that, hey, what about that somebody who's maybe thinking about coming to Nashville?
Yes.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Deciding,
Because there's a period. You're going, do I leave my hometown?
But what am I?
Do I leave it? Yeah. Do I go to LA?
Yeah.
Do I just play it safe and become an accountant, whatever that might be? So you're right. And like I say, one person may hear one little bit of what I've said and go, okay. Yeah. But I do want to say this. It feels a little weird. Like I talked, but my mom always said, as a Spanish woman, she said, an interesting person, it really sticks with me. An interesting person is an interested person. So, like when I get together with writers, I like to ask the questions of them. I don't want to be, I've done this, music. So it's a little weird for me to talk so much about myself, where mostly, if we were just having a normal conversation, I don't want to, I want to hear about you, of course. Yeah. This would be something we would share a beer, and I want to hear about you. I haven't even touched where you went to school, well, I guess Georgia, and hear about your life. I want to hear that. It wasn't so much like that on this, but I think it's geared more to, I guess we could have talked more like that, but if I ask you questions, does that happen?
This is it let it free flow, and, to your point, it's like you are typically that person.
Yeah.
So, but...
Yes.
But that leaves, kind of a wake. I think, for us as people, if we're kind of metaphorically like a boat, the wake is behind us. We're not focused on the wake we're leaving.
Yeah.
And if you are, you probably got, you're going to crash.
Yeah.
But people want to know. Mm-hmm. They want to hear about James Slater.
Yeah.
They want to know, okay, well, you're a 10-year-old looking at, or whatever, 14, and have this dream of moving and writing songs. And there's so much that goes on behind the closed doors that you never have access to.
Yeah.
And the story is really what we're all after. Mm-hmm. So, when I think of some of my favorite artists, that's really what's led me to this couch. But You know, one of mine big ones as a guitar player was John Mayer.
Yeah.
And obviously that he's, you know, gone from singer, songwriter, pretty, you know, womanizer to absolutely legendary.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, being 12, 13 years old, wanting to see all of the back footage. I wanted to connect, okay, where did these songs come from in this season of life? Like, what? You want to know all the detail. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with songwriting. It's the same thing with songwriters.
John Mayer is a great example. Whoever your formative bands are, you know, you wouldn't be the same without them. Like, I wouldn't be the same without Steely Dan or probably Led Zeppelin or Billy Joel. But John Mayer would be the one in the last 10. And again, growing up, you guys, I mean, my God, you know, is that guy. When In My Daughter's Eyes came out, that was the premier, still to this day, father-daughter dance. I played it at a father-daughter dance in North Carolina. Sometimes I get hired to go just play that song, In My Daughter's Eyes. It's been this incredible evergreen. But when Daughters came out, all of a sudden it took a little thunder. I was pissed at him. And what a song.
Yeah.
I mean,
phenomenal song.
Bing, bing, bing. I could play that break in the middle, the lyric, and then let's count a billion others. If there are bands that give me goosebumps as a guy now, those bands those songs that give you goosebumps, Reeling in the Ears, Steely Dan, whatever, Black Dog, we never got into. Oh my God. I have a question I ask people. If you could be a fly on the wall, any song in the history of music, you could be in the studio while they were recording it. Yeah, it's a great question. What
is it for you?
So for me, it would be, and a lot of people go, it would probably be Billy Joel or Elton John. Yeah, of course, but I know this is crazy, but it's Led Zeppelin. It's called Black Dog. Ba-na-na-na-na-na, hey, hey, mama, like the way you... The power behind that song, John Bonham, and I never told the story about me meeting Robert Plant, but I was at my house with Robert Plant for like an hour, which is... Didn't take a picture. I could kick myself for that. I was like, I should be cool. Don't take a picture. No! 15 years later, you'd have it on the wall. You and Robert Plant breathe the same air. You know, I never got to see that band, but that song, man, just the guitars, Bonham, the stuff he told me about, just to hear that song. And there's a million. My nephew, I remember asking him, and my nephew was about 26. He goes, oh, if I could have been there while they were recording Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm like, hell yeah. But there's no right answer or wrong answer. Like, what would it be for you? Is there something off the top of your head?
Christopher Cross Sailing.
Oh, what a beautiful song. Yeah.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one.
Do you know, and Rob knows the guy, Michael Omartian, who did the piano and produced that?
I didn't know that.
So is Michael Omartian. Michael Omartian lives in this town. He's still does sessions some, but he also played freaking piano on Steely Dan's Asia, which to me is one of my favorite records. Incredible musician. He lives in Brentwood.
Wow.
If you guys could ever get him on the show, there would be a point. Sailing Man, look, that's your answer. And that guy produced that song. I don't think he wrote it, but I think he produced it. It's gorgeous. And do you have?
On top of my head, probably September, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Just because of the melodies. Like, if you just listen to it over and over and over and over again, there's Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And they're their own melodies.
They are Easter eggs, aren't they?
And they come together as their own. It's just great.
Africa.
There's so many.
I mean,
and again,
many.
Yeah. Yeah, I in one of my desert island songs, like one song I'd have to live with is called "Reeling in the Ears," Steely Dan. And there's that last. So there's one of those verses: "The weekend at the college didn't turn out how you planned. The things we think are precious, or you wouldn't know a diamond if you held it in your hand. The things you think are precious, you can't understand." Oh my gosh, God! Just are you reeling in the ears? Just later,
Yeah.
I gave a diamond ring to a girl long ago in L.A. when I was very young. I thought, this is the girl I'm going to marry. And, now I'm looking back, are you crazy? But whenever I hear that, you wouldn't know a diamond if you held it in your hand. It was so... And she just left me when she met a manager that was probably could get her to where she was going faster than I could.
Wow.
And I don't have any ill will. I'm just going, wow. But that line is just so good.
Yeah.
So we go back to John Mayer. My God, man. Yeah. And to this day. But look how that guy... has kind of womanizer, all that, whatever. He's going through his,
growing up,
man.
In public.
I was actually at his concert at Bridgestone when he broke down on the stage. I don't know if you were there.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't there for it, but I've seen it.
But in my top 5 concerts, probably the Search for Everything concert later in his life at Bridgestone. I took my nephew to that, and it was freaking, that song, I probably played it 1,000,000 times. Still feel like your man.
I still feel like your man.
The groove on that.
So good.
The lyric, the groove, the production. And later, I went to see the Stones, and I got to meet Steve Jordan and spend an hour or 2 hanging with him. And that's a whole other story, which was unbelievable, hanging with Steve Jordan.
Yeah.
But John Mayer, to this day, and he goes and tours with Grateful Dead just as a sideman, kind of. What an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, he's got his podcast, goes to Montana, kind of does his thing. He's an anomaly. He's something else.
He's prolific, yeah.
Prolific and still searching. Is he 50? Almost. He's getting there.
He's born, let's see,
he's like 10 years older than me.
He's 48.
Oh, John Mayer?
47.
I think he's in his 40s, yeah.
He's born 1977 in October.
And if you look at his post... Yeah.
The 12-year-old in me knows that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much you could say about, that song, Stop This Train. And, we're just going on. I'm sorry to keep going on, but it just sparks so many things.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it today. Like, that line where he's like, I'm afraid of getting old. I only know how to be young. I'm only good at being young.
Right.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Just gave myself, look, I'm afraid of getting old. I'm only good at being young. Fuck.
Yeah.
Does that not resonate?
I am an architect of days that haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
What's the, I can't believe 6 months. It's all it's been.
Yeah.
I have a paper heart, the one you wrote, or something.
Pencil mark.
With pencil. I guess I'll go ahead and ink you in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like,
when you can,
get on me.
Comfortable. You know the song Comfortable?
Yeah.
So I remember being in my studio at the house I had before, and a writer coming over years ago, and we were hitting it off, and he's like, you like John Mayer? Yeah, John Mayer's pretty cool. And he goes, have you ever heard Comfortable? No, I don't know that song. Just listen to it. He left, and I put that on like, holy, my friends all high-five me. You know that song, man?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is the girl you should be dating. You got the hottest girl now, and you broke up with the one who just was in sweatpants, and who doesn't? I feel that now. And, like, what was the line? She smiles
back.
Taking pictures, like she's taking pictures that aren't even being taken. My friends all high-five me because I'm with her, but I can't get over this one that just was, who's dirty. Her mouth is so dirty. Oh, man, it's just honest. I don't remember the lyric of it. Man.
Yeah, but it's a great song.
I think he's with the girl now. Oh, God, who's into the Bible, which is fantastic. But I missed this one that was just... I'm botching this all up because it's been so long since I heard it. But that song, you listen to that and you're like, dang. Yeah. And it informs your writing, as you go on. When you hear a song like that, I wrote a song with Tom Douglas called Annie, I Owe You a Dance. It wasn't a single, but it was on Tim's record, one of those records, and just you can then write the deep ones. John Mayer, dude, he's playing Pilgrimage soon.
Yeah,
I know it.
You guys gonna go?
Would love to go. I'll be in Atlanta seeing Cascade.
Who's
Cascade's a DJ.
Okay.
So I'll be down there with my girlfriend. She's really into Cascade, but otherwise
cool.
I would be at Pilgrimage. I've seen him 7-8 times, but
I gotta bounce.
Okay.
I'm a little late,
dude.
to lunch.
Go. God, we gotta hang. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys did amazing, man.